Warning, the following program contains sensitive material that may be unsettling to some audiences. The Pedantic Pedestrians are not responsible for any injuries or paranormal activity that may occur during the viewing of this program, including, and not limited to, whiplash, bipolar disorder, a sprained ankle, or demonic possession. Viewer discretion is advised.
Two guns. Do you want to, encourage people to respect the host? So funny, Chad.
When you see people laughing. Nah, like, pause it. What did he say? Whenever it sounds like he said.
We're live?
We're live.
Oh
my god.
So, where is everybody? There's only like 8 people watching currently.
The new people that came around finally figured out about you and how you're a doo-doo head.
So now all we have is all those old stinking old people that we're hanging around.
Okay, so Dirt, Zidane, do you guys have the stream open? Are you watching it? People in the chat, are you sharing out the stream and liking it and everything?
Well, is every pedantic pedestrian doing their civic duty to share?
Okay, so I asked Dirt earlier this or before we went live. Do you know about the recent news, like what's been leaked about Musk?
No, you mentioned something about that, and I said recent leaked news about Musk. That sounds...
Turns out that he's got quite the drug problem, and he was on quite the regimen of substances while he was doing his DOGE sort of bullshit.
You mean not just ketamine? Because believe me,
not just ketamine.
Ketamine in and of itself sounds like a blast. What else was he doing, John?
Well, let's see.
New York Times report.
I know he was doing shrooms and psychedelics.
Oh, well, that's a given, John. I wish I was.
Billionaire Elon Musk, who threw hundreds of millions of dollars at getting President Trump elected and led DOGE, used drugs on the campaign trail. The report cites private messages of people who...
See, why is it okay for extremely rich people to do drugs?
Well, that's the problem, John. If Kamala Harris had done at least 18 grams of mushrooms over the course of her campaign, she would have performed exponentially better than in this election than she had, John.
Well, it wasn't Trump doing drugs, it was Musk.
It doesn't matter. Well, that's the problem. If Trump had done mushrooms, then by God, John, we'd all be done for. At this point.
I don't know. I think Trump on mushrooms would
heal the world.
Not really be that entertaining. He's already like just a dumb fuck and everything.
But what if he had his like Scrooge moment, John, where he came to Jesus, his Grinch moment where his heart grew 7 times that day and he just became a benevolent dictator, John? What if that happened instead?
The shtick is stupid.
I'm sorry. Well, I think you should. We'll only know when we give Donald Trump 8 grams of mushrooms.
We need to just inject him with heroin and then... You know.
Okay. All right.
I don't think that's going to help him.
Well, if that happens, then that way we won't have to deal with him because they'll be forced to make him step down.
Was using mushrooms and ecstasy and would travel with a box of 20 pills every day. Neither Musk nor the White House have commented on the report. But
no, that's not that many pills. Do you think that's a lot of pills?
Them every day?
I don't know. Maybe it's just his collection.
Said he has a prescription.
Yeah, maybe he's just like of course, as you know, Elon Musk announced that. Maybe that's how he got so rich.
Well, what if he's walking around with like the suitcase from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Exactly.
I think
I would respect it if he wasn't pushing like politics that was very anti-drug.
Yeah. But if he was selling them, he would just have his own toadies going around distributing it. He wouldn't have his own little personal sack.
Last night, his departure as an official
you think
special
rich
government
people
employee
like
from the
him
Trump
would
administration.
want things like shroom to be illegal so he can be one of the first people to just take advantage of it and like have it take make as much business as he can there and everything, because cannabis has made a lot of money in the states where it's become legal. But imagine
it's
No.
Promethean flame, Shabisky. You know, you can't just give that to the masses because then you start giving everybody mushrooms. They all start thinking they're visionaries or something, dude.
Well, plus it's like you want to be cool, you want to be in the in crowd. So if you're rich and you can keep all the drugs illegal, you get to be like one of the wealthy elite with all the cocaine and stuff.
Exactly.
And you get to look down at the masses.
I stopped doing weed when it became legal, John. It just stopped being cool.
Yeah.
We thank him for his service. We thank him for getting DOGE off of the ground, and the efforts to cut waste, fraud, and abuse will continue.
So he doesn't have any comment about Musk saying it.
Now, I know they were discussing how, like, oh God, if they make weed legal, everyone's going to be a junkie now. And then they legalized it and not really much changed at all. But it would have been funny if far fewer people were doing drugs because it's like reverse psychology. It's like people are just doing it because it's illegal. So then you legalize it and then no one wants to do it anymore.
I genuinely think we would see that effect if we did do that when it comes to some of these higher scheduled drugs here in the US.
I think with teens, like I think a lot of teenagers will do drugs, especially initially, just because it's like, I'm doing something illegal.
And it undermines all his work.
The president commented on this. I commented on it. I told you that this bill saves $1.6 trillion according to the Council of Economic Advisors and the analyses that the president believes in. So he gave a comment. I give a comment. Just because you don't like that comment doesn't mean it's not a comment.
Do you have an updated...
Just because you didn't like that comment doesn't mean it's not a comment.
Makes my stomach churn.
Leadership structure for who is leading the group, is Revoked involved, and what is its new mission now, if any?
Well, the entire cabinet is involved, and I spoke to the president about it this morning, and the entire cabinet understands the need to...
So they're having him step down, but DOGE is not a government corporation. Isn't it supposed to be a private corporation?
No.
No, it's supposed to be a private company that is a third-party corporation advising the government. And that's like some kind of loophole to get around the fact that, you know what, like Musk is essentially this appointed sort of federal bureaucrat who wasn't approved through like Congress. And that's one of the big controversies surrounding DOGE. So it's like, what are they going to do now? Do they have their own like board of CEOs or whatever? Are they going to make the CTO or whatever the CEO now?
To cut government waste, fraud, and abuse. And each cabinet secretary at their respective agencies is committed to that. That's why they were working hand in hand.
The other thing is that they will pretend that he's not a bureaucrat, so there's no expectation. There shouldn't be any expectation of him to not use drugs or anything like that.
Okay.
There'll be a bunch
Bill
of
Hicks
excuses
says,
made for him.
Bill Hicks says Google it, so Google it, Dirt.
Google what exactly? What's my query, John?
Is DOGE a government agency or a private agency?
Political appointees at all of these agencies. So surely the mission of DOGE will continue, and many DOGE employees are now political appointees and employees of our government. And to the best of my knowledge, all of them intend to stay and continue this important work.
Is there a DOGE?
Well, I wanted to ask quickly, Mr. Musk, is your eye okay? What happened to your eye?
Okay, look at how sunken his eyes look. Oh, wait, no, this actually is about... Never mind.
Bruce there?
Well, I wasn't anywhere near France, so...
What does that mean?
No,
I didn't notice it.
First lady of France.
I didn't notice.
I just wasn't around with Lex, and I said, go ahead, buddy.
Okay, so this is like about his black eye, but it looks like both of his eyes are like sunken in. Like he has the Steve Buscemi eyes, and that usually happens when people are like high and a lot of drugs give you the... Like temporarily, they give you the
butthole
eyes. Yeah, so
yeah,
that means that he's under the influence of these drugs, or he's high while he's in the Oval Office.
Rotated butthole eyes.
I'm just getting a contact looking at him. But yeah, John, I found here that apparently the Department of Government Efficiency is a what is it here? An adversary committee to the executive branch. It's like a
adversary. So is it
an advisory? An advisory.
Okay, so is it a private? Like
a private? It's appointed.
Is it private or social sector? Which one?
Oh my God!
Punched me in the face, and he did. Turns out even a 5-year-old punching you in the face actually does.
No, was exited.
Yeah. So somebody in the chat says DOGE is a government department of the executive branch.
Yeah.
Well, then that should be completely illegal. that he established this new department and appointed somebody where it completely bypassed Congress. So I thought the big thing was it was a private company, and that's what their claim was. It's like, oh, it's to advise us. It's like this private third-party company. So
well, I mean, that is kind of the new
whether
political
it's part of the private
meta.
or social sector.
If you knew
hang on, that is kind of part of the new political meta. I've noticed is just kind of ignore the rules, and see if they get enforced at all.
But that's the issue is that because the
efficiency or DOGE is a newly formed federal initiative tasked with identifying inefficiencies across government operations
in the public sector, John. It's the public sector.
Okay. So then what Zidane said, it's just the big issue is the executive branch controls the military and they control the Justice Department. So they control all the sentries and dudes with guns that can go in and raid people's homes and arrest them if things get out of hand and too corrupt. So it's almost like, when it comes to who appoints all of the heads of the different branches of the Justice Department and the military, maybe it should be divided between the three branches of the federal government. Maybe the Supreme Court should be appointing like a third of the different executives and directors, and then another third should be appointed by Congress, because if the president is able to just put a bunch of toadies in there, then it's like, what's stopping cronyism from completely taking control of the government?
I've actually, I've been thinking about that for years too, because when you bring that up, the reaction that you're going to get from people depends entirely on their opinion of who the president is right now. So all the people who, the people who would actually be willing to acknowledge that that's not a good thing for literally one party and one president to have that much power over the military and literally our justice system. All those people would act like it's not that big of a deal when Biden or Obama has that same power. But really, the problem was always the fact that all that power was funneled to one person at all, and we didn't really get to see how bad that can look until now. And it just so happens to be a Republican showing us that.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that if it's their person who is in power exploiting these sort of policies, then then there's nothing wrong with it. And those people defending it, it's just, what if the same thing happened, but it was Obama or Biden? I don't think they'd be supporting it. It's the same thing with the Electoral College. It's like, what if the last two scenarios where somebody won the presidency just due to the electoral vote, what if it was a Democrat? And it's like, damn well they'd be talking about how we have to abolish the Electoral College. Yeah. And it's the same thing with the filibuster. Like, Republicans try to defend the filibuster because they like the fact that it can be used to obstruct stuff in, Congress. And it's just, if the opposite was happening, they would be, they wouldn't be for it. But go ahead, Chad.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, that's all well and good, John, but good news. None of that matters because according to the chat, Spirit of Truth 2032, Mount Zion, Millennium of Peace occurs perfect within the selected well, John. So thankfully, we're in the selected well, and that's all coming true.
I don't think that comment was really worth pointing out.
It was the greatest comment, Gene. You want to get on your knees?
What did Cheb have
Philip
something
Buster
to say?
is a great porn name.
Well, I just noticed what his shirt says. It's the Doge Father. His shirt. It's covered up so you can't see the
hardcore.
The
Phil
Doge
A.
Father.
Buster.
Isn't that
He's pretty
fucking
cringe,
cringy?
isn't he?
Yeah, that is so cringy to have the Doge father, and then this guy is like a bit.
I mean,
someone who has a lot of control in the government.
I thought it couldn't get cringier than the Turkish salute, but I guess he one-upped himself there.
I have honestly thought of Elon Musk as like the king of cringe since he started like being more vocal on the internet, and that was before he started really courting the right like he is now.
But
like he was cringy before.
Billionaire, so he has to be a genius because he's self-made.
It was when he started reminding me of Steve Jobs, the fake self-made billionaire bullshit. Yeah,
but Trump's also a self-made billionaire, so
of
you're
course
automatically a genius if you're a billionaire.
He started as a paper boy,
but I just watched him around
and worked his way up.
No, he started like in one of the slums in South Africa. And,
you come to me on this, the day of my 28th daughter's birthday.
He was mining.
One of his parents died of murder, the other one died of disease, and then he had to, live off the scraps in the street, and he just worked his way up. I mean,
he had to mine.
He had no foot in the door.
He mined his way through the craft.
He had to mine like diamonds every day and only get paid like 15 cents an hour.
And then finally he crafted his way to the top.
Yes.
First he mined.
He definitely didn't get lots of money from his daddy. Definitely not.
Well, I mean, Trump only inherited like a third of $1 billion. So
that was a small loan.
Yeah.
No, first he started.
That's a small loan.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, but where
that's not being born into wealth at all.
Yeah.
Where I was going with that about Musk was that when I started talking shit about Elon Musk originally, it was like my liberal and Democrat leaning friends that would get mad at me. Now it's my Republican and conservative friends that get mad when I talk shit about Elon Musk. But it's like, honestly, it's the same shit. Like it's, you're not the fucking genius that you pretend to be.
Yeah, it does seem like it switched dramatically.
I don't know. I don't think you guys could come up with a genius idea such as the Hyperloop.
Yeah, the Hyperloop.
Or PayPal, John. Could you do PayPal, John?
I don't think that was him. I think
he bought it. That was before it blew up. But yeah.
Well, no, he got like shit canned from PayPal because him and a bunch of other rich kids, so it was a bunch of other like big entrepreneurs were investing in it, and he wanted to call PayPal X. So he was always obsessed with the letter X or using it as some kind of title. And they thought he was just annoying and socially awkward as hell. So they bought him out. So he literally got fired from the project. And then he ended up paying for like the URL for the rights of the X.com because he was so obsessed with them. They're like, here, we don't want this. If you want to pay us for this, fine. But he wasn't the man behind PayPal at all. So I guess he was one of the original people that tried to found it. But all the other founders shit-canned him because he was annoying.
Go through this.
Well, how about the X logo, John? The icon being a mirrored image of the Freemason logo, John. How about that?
Yeah, and it also looks a lot like the Xfinity logo. And then when I'm on my phone and you have all the apps, it's like, is that the Xfinity or like your Twitter or used to be Twitter app?
Or is it the Freemason app, John? I can't.
It's almost like the big asset of Twitter was its brand recognition and name recognition, but the one thing Twitter had going for it, he decided to squander it because he was obsessed with the letter X for some reason.
The letter X for some reason. He really likes that letter.
Yeah, like when it's already mainstream enough where all of the presidents will continue using it and stuff, like, and have been using it, the past presidents like Obama and Trump definitely use Twitter a lot. If it's that big, they probably shouldn't try to change the name. It's already big enough where like that's probably gonna screw with it. Rebranding the whole thing when it's that.
How much do you want to?
I hear
if you look at Musk's porn folder. It's just a bunch of like X's, like AI art.
So I hear that the way he broke his penis was he was training it. He was training his pee hole so that he could one day fit the entire letter X into it. Sound himself with the letter
Okay,
X.
let's continue.
And
Because
yeah, we should probably just continue.
The news is that 90% of the country knows that, and they appreciate it, and they really appreciate what he did. And I gave him a little special something we have here.
Thank you.
A very special that I give to very special people. I have given it to some.
That's so special.
Here's your participation trophy, Musk.
It goes to
special cigar
This
or what?
wooden
Sure
piece
is
of shit.
special.
with a key on as a presentation.
Oh, key.
Thank you.
A key within a wooden piece of shit.
That looks like it opens a door to a boss fight in Resident Evil.
For sure.
Dude, without a doubt, he is on something. Like,
I mean, I wish I was.
I don't see. I don't think that, like, I don't judge at all a politician or somebody who has a politically adjacent job, somebody in his position doing drugs. It's the fact that they represent politics that, you know, that's very anti-drug and, you know, very policing people and their drug use. So fuck them. Like,
I don't mind if somebody who's like a commercial airline pilot likes to like smoke weed, but they shouldn't be high.
Oh, on the job, of course.
Yeah, on the job. So if you're well, I'm saying if you're a politician or especially head of the federal fucking government, like somebody like the president and stuff, or head of the FBI, you should probably be completely fucking sober while you're on the job and making all of these.
I feel like if I was president, though, I would be a better judge of things.
Chad, no, you're being fucking retarded. Like,
I would be a better judge of things if I had some
You
weed.
shouldn't be high on the fucking job.
I would be the greatest.
You shouldn't be mildly, like, tipsy on the job or whatever. It's like, if you want to drink, you can get drunk off the fucking job.
See, yeah, that's why I love smoking weed, but I would not be complaining about that expectation being put upon me.
Oh, that's a pilot. That's not comparable to in terms of like the world's most powerful military and one of the largest stockpiles of nuclear weapons, where they're in charge of
Trump,
diplomacy.
But are we talking about Trump or are we talking about Elon Musk?
Well, if
Elon
DOGE
Musk doesn't
is
control
a
the military.
Well, if it's the head of a federal agency. So I think that if you're like the director of the FBI or the director of like the Department of Health and Medicine and stuff, you probably should be sober when you're signing off on all these papers and agreements.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Shab, you and me can get hella high and do pretty much anything functionally, but like I understand why the expectation of the law is that I do not get high and then drive or do any kind, or, an employer is going to probably expect you to not be high at work because it's not everybody can function while they're high like that. So it's just kind of going to be a baseline expectation that nobody does that.
You want somebody working a job like this, that is such a high tier federal, like sort of job, to be at their peak mentally when they're working.
Exactly.
So, you want them
so you're saying cocaine is the answer?
Yes, cocaine is absolutely the answer.
Gene's totally down with that. He's like, yes, we'll get more work done.
You're right, John, but you're thinking about this in the wrong way. I mean, think about the ancestral position of the shaman who would commune with the spirits to receive advice from on high, John.
And then that shaman does surgery
perspective, on you. Like, no, being high is always the answer to everything. You should do open heart surgery when you're completely baked.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got to start doing drug tests to make sure that everybody is
smoking
high
a joint
at work.
while you're doing the surgery. Like, oh shit, I got some ash in him.
Ash in his heart.
Whoops, I got ash on his heart.
Any disease that a person has, like cystic fibrosis and shit, or I don't like.
You smoke some weed, bro.
You just smoke some weed. It's the cure to everything.
Rub some weed on it.
Blinker.
Legalize salvia. That's right, Bill Hicks.
Mandatorized salvia.
Really beginning. My time as a special government employee necessarily had to end. It was a limited time thing. It's 134 days, I believe, which ends in a few days.
Yeah, it's on the left side where.
So that it comes with a time limit.
The black
What's
guy.
that? Yeah.
The black guy. Yeah. Honestly though, this makes me like Elon more than I ever did.
Oh my god.
It makes me relate to him. You know, I'm like, if I was a billionaire hanging out with Trump and shit, I would be like, yes, I'm gonna do some shrooms before I go to the White House.
When it comes to somebody doing fucking drugs, I do drugs, like I don't fucking care,
Not
but
the cool ones.
dude, I've done more fucking hardware substances than
I've
you.
done cooler than
It's not a competition.
Yeah, John's done
dude.
cool
Like, oh, I smoke so much crack a day.
All
It's
of
like-
us have done at least a couple of cool drugs, right?
Yeah, one or two.
But no, but the point is that I don't know, the stupid like stoner garbage of like, yeah, they're automatically cool now because they've
Well,
done
no,
some
I'm
drugs.
saying I can relate to him. We both have a forwards cap. We both love being high on shrooms. And
Ketamine and mushrooms. I'm with it.
But the DOGE team will only grow stronger over time. The DOGE influence will only grow stronger. It's I could liken it to sort of Buddhism. It's like a way of life. So it is permeating throughout the government, and I'm confident that over time we'll see $1 trillion of savings.
Okay, so I have a theory. The reason he's being ousted, the reason he's being shit-canned, is because he kept insisting that they change the name from Doge to X. And they're like, okay, get the fuck out of here. We're
the Department of X.
That's the only thing he's been obsessed over. So
X would
be.
It has nothing to do with. He hasn't been focusing on actual government efficiency. He's been focusing on just changing the name.
Yeah, he wants to tell everyone that he's Professor X now.
Calling it X would be I'd accept that way more than I'd accept
The Department of Twitter. All right, now you're just fucking with us.
Doge is a stupid meme off of the internet where people called a dog a Doge instead of a dog. And that became a department. That is so stupid. I agree with changing
Well,
it to
first
X.
it was a cryptocurrency, Shab. You have to realize.
Then the stupid Doge meme became a crypto. Then it became a government agency or whatever, or
It's
administration,
beautiful.
whatever.
We'll make so much money. It's brilliant.
You want the government agency to be like some kind of abbreviation or of some.
X to me is better than fucking Doge. Let's call it a Skibbity Toilet next. Yeah, let's do Skibbity Toilet.
Skibbity branch.
Yeah, the Skibbity branch.
$1 trillion of wasted fraud reduction.
Next vid.
Were you aware of Elon Musk's regular drug use?
No, I wasn't. I think he's fantastic.
I think he's fantastic. I don't care. I did mushrooms with him. It was brilliant.
I think he's the best at doing drugs ever.
He's huge.
Looks
And
like
I don't think Trump
got a
is,
little bit of cocaine.
Okay,
on his
I don't think Trump is being honest here. I think he is glad to get rid of Musk because apparently everyone found him to be insufferable. So, like, everyone just wanted him to go the fuck away.
Is this your
wanted him
sources
to
within the
Doge
White
the
House,
fuck
John, telling you that Elon Musk is a pain in the ass?
Well, apparently everyone that he interacted with, they had nothing but negative things to say about him. Even people in Trump's inner circle were open about him being just annoying as hell.
They were just jealous of his friendship.
He's an embarrassment.
They were just jealous.
Did a great job, and Doge continues, and by the time it's finished, we'll have numbers that'll knock your socks off. It's going to be. He did a fantastic job, and he didn't need it. He didn't need to do it. It was a great trip.
Roger Wilco says, "Don't blame me."
Drugs?
Don't blame me. I voted for Hector Mountain Dew Camacho.
I wish I could.
Well, Pennsylvania.
He wasn't on the ballot.
The steelworkers are very happy. We did the tariffs. It's going to make them even more competitive, and it's turning out to be a great deal. I think it's going to be a fantastic deal. $17 billion is being invested for new steel mills, new everything, and it's going to be something special. So that was an honor.
Oh yeah, because for new steel mills. So during his first presidency, wasn't that something he did? He did a bunch of tariffs on steel, and it ended up unemploying like tens of thousands of people.
That's why we're gonna start making the steel
mills now. So
steel mills.
Like 6-7 years later. So it seems like that did a really good job, like boosting our economy and
in the long run
and everything.
Wait till you see, John. Wait till you see when me and Shabisky quit the Pedantic Pedestrian Podcast and work in the steel mills.
Yeah, the steel mills. There we go.
Yeah, so once the economy crashes, it needs to get worse before it gets better. So yeah, in the long run, and it's like 12 years later, 14 years later, it's like, yeah, once things stabilize and get back and we recover from the second Great Depression, yeah, that was all because of Trump.
Of the steelworkers of Pennsylvania, and it was a fantastic time.
Are you confident that your proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza that was just submitted this week will get approved by Hamas?
I think they want to get out of that mess. They're in a big mess. I think they want to get out of it.
Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to get out of that mess, John? Don't you think they want to get out of that mess?
The only reason we can now send a...
Well, oh my God.
Hell yeah, run it back. Run it back. Let's see that in its full glory.
His rocket company. The only reason we can now send American...
Yay! Yay! Yippee!
Dude, that man...
There I am!
Dude, it's not every day you see a man frolic.
So his kids, I know he's estranged from his one kid, the one that came out as trans, but how much do you want to bet, like, pretty much all of his kids saw him at this event, and they're just like, oh my God, Dad.
Hi, everyone.
Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it!
As you can see,
do it, Elon! Do it!
Him like jumping around like a little kid. It reminds me of his little kid. Like if you watch him, he's all happy and stuff all the time, skipping around. It's like I see where he gets it from. He's hanging out with daddy while daddy's high on.
Well, I was gonna say his kid is a bad influence on him. That's probably where Musk got it from.
It's all the ketamine and the mushrooms. He's got a lot of serotonin and dopamine flying around in there, dude. You gotta jump in
2024. Now, some truly shocking new reporting by the New York Times finds that while campaigning with Donald Trump last year, Elon Musk engaged in drug consumption that, quote, went well beyond occasional use, to the point where it began to have a physical impact on him. New York Times reports this, quote, as Elon Musk became one of Donald Trump's...
Wait, now, doesn't any level of drug use have a
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Yeah. It's like, did he actually get high? Holy shit! No way!
Well,
you Democrats!
If they're gonna say something like that, then you would think, like, okay, is it causing, like, liver damage? Like, so was he actually having some medical issue? Like, one of his...
Did he find, like, a Bill Clinton way to snort all these drugs?
Not specific enough.
Closest allies last year, leading raucous rallies and donating about $275 million to help him win the presidency. He was also using drugs far more intensely than previously known. That's according to people familiar with his activities. Musk's drug consumption went well beyond occasional use. He told people he was taking so much ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, that
ketamine
it was affecting his bladder. The known effect of chronic use.
I didn't know it was ketamine.
There how it affected his bladder. So maybe he had to wear a diaper like Trump and Biden.
Mushrooms, and he traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with the markings of the stimulant.
So, to be fair, I take 20 pills a day. So.
Adderall. That's according to a photo.
But are they all psychoactive?
I've seen it.
And I take Adderall, so.
Musk has said that he was prescribed ketamine to treat depression, taking it approximately every 2 weeks. He told his
done ketamine?
No, but I have a friend. I have friends who have.
I don't even know what to think of it. I don't even
know. Yeah, I never fucked with ketamine myself. Like, I've done ecstasy, Molly, mushrooms, acid.
The best descriptor I have of ketamine is a friend who was given it as a means of sedative after he was in a car accident and broke his arm. Damn. So they administered the ketamine as they were going to put his arm back into place. And the way he puts it is, well, they looked at him. It's a good friend of mine. He said, old country boy, or I'll put it to you like that. He said, is there anything we can do to relieve your stress as we go along with the procedure? He said, play Hank Williams Jr. And then they looked at each other and said, okay. So they played some country music, infused the ketamine, and he said, dude, I don't know what it is about this ketamine, but it made the pain feel good. And I am sure I disturbed these fucking... I disturbed these nurses as they grabbed my arm and twisted it back into my place. I said, oh, that feels good.
Dude, have you ever been high on pain dirt?
On pain? No, I've never hit the adrenaline level that I've fucking gone bonkers. No.
Dude, it's the best high.
I'll keep that in mind.
How sits around hurting himself.
He needs drugs when he got a hammer.
Giving himself
I really don't like doing illegal drugs.
And a car battery.
The Times reports this, quote, Musk had been using ketamine often, sometimes daily, and mixing it with other drugs, according to people familiar with his consumption.
Hell yeah.
The line
Dude, he's rich. Why doesn't he just do nitrous?
between mental use and recreation.
Nitrous John.
Do a rich people drug like heroin.
Why does he have the galaxy gas, dude?
Yeah.
Notes that it is unclear whether he continued to take drugs when he began working at the White House. Elon Musk's time in the administration was defined by the massive cuts he made to the
Wait, so now remember when they found cocaine in one of the cubbies at the White House? Maybe it was Musk. It was his cocaine. They weren't able to find out who it was.
No. It was Hunter Biden.
Oh,
Hunter
yep.
Biden.
Nah, I think it was Musk.
Which have frequently been challenged in courts and often blocked, as well as
Okay.
personal clashes.
One time I was drunk with one of my friends, right? And he was the designated driver of the group, and he just pulled into he pulled. No. He was sober, but he pulls into a train station and just goes, "So, have you guys ever been on the Hunter Biden experience?" I was like, "What's that?" And he goes, "It's where you do coke in a train station parking lot."
Back to whose cocaine it was at the White House. I think it was everybody's. I think it was just a community cocaine for everybody in the White House. They would all just take turns, I think
somebody
that's what
dropped the communal 8-ball.
They're all a bunch of rich people. Why not?
Okay, let's continue.
Senior cabinet members, including trade advisor Peter Navarro, who he called a, quote, moron, and, quote, dumber than a sack of bricks, end quote. In the Oval Office today, Elon Musk lashed out at the
They liked him.
questions about the substance of its reporting.
Right.
NBC News has not been able to independently verify the Times reporting. The White House and Elon Musk did not respond to requests for comment from NBC News. A White House spokesperson did issue a statement to the New York Times. He declined to comment on Musk's drug use. Joining our coverage is investigative reporter for the New York Times, Megan Twohey. Her byline is on that reporting.
Let's get Elon Musk back. Let's invite Elon Musk on our podcast. Let's interview him about his drug use. I was going to say get him on Joe Rogan, but fuck that. He's already done that. Let's get him on our podcast with, our daily podcast with 105 viewers.
And all his great ideas are...
No, I just want to hear about his drug use.
Who also try to endorse the M Drive, which is another sci-fi, pseudoscientific, sort of apparatus.
That's his thing. He really wants to be like the beginning of the real world being Star Trek or some shit.
I don't know. I think AI is going to kill us all before we get there.
You're right. There has been some.
But the Hadron Collider turned lead into gold, John. We're just one step closer to the Star Trek replicator fabricator, dude.
A lot of energy went into, making that.
Yeah.
Drug use in the past. He himself has acknowledged that he used ketamine, as he said, it was with a prescription and only every couple weeks to help with depression. But what we found is that the drug use was much more frequently than previously known. And it wasn't just the volume, it was that these drugs appeared to be mixed. So from the ketamine use that at times has been near daily and got to the point where it was causing bladder issues as he was joining Trump on the campaign trail, to the use of
what kind of bladder issues are they talking about? Did you just have to pee a lot?
Psychedelic
Yeah. Or was he having issues peeing? Was he peeing Kool-Aid?
Shrooms, as well as this pill box that contained, as many as 20 pills, including one with the marking of Adderall.
People don't get that joke
so
unless you say red Kool-Aid, Gene, I think.
Oh, whatever.
You need to be more
They think about the purple
Kool-Aid is where people's
immediately.
minds immediately go. If they're not autistic.
They're pissing the purple Kool-Aid, guys.
Yeah.
It's been really hard to report.
What color is the Kool-Aid guy, Shabisky? You dumb fuck.
Purple?
To penetrate the circle of people who know him. But in recent months, people had started to talk to me and my colleague, Kristen Grind, because there have been people close to him who have had concerns about his drug use.
This is going to sound like a dumb question, but what is ketamine and how do you take it? And what would a normal, either recreational...
What a dork. She doesn't know what ketamine is or how it works.
What a loser.
Look like?
She's not cool.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's not cool like Musk.
It's this powerful anesthetic that can serve as a sedative, and it has been approved by the FDA for use in medical procedures. There are doctors who have prescribed it for psychiatric treatment, like depression, but those doctors are supposed to have special licenses, and the FDA has warned that the use of this drug, can come with these serious side effects and risks, including addiction. And
so every drug has side effects, and every drug can, or not every drug, but Most drugs, especially any ones that have any sort of psychological like effects, can lead to addiction.
Bladder issues.
Does that mean you lose? What are the bladder issues?
The bladder issues, those can. It's not one single bladder issue that can come from chronic use of the drug, which can be.
Which, come to think of it, to be pedantic, you look up the definition of drug, and I made this joke before: is oxygen a drug? Because it's just anything that has some kind of effect on your mind or judgment, and it's like some definitions specify that it has to be a substance that isn't a food, but some definitions don't. But the thing is, a lot of medicine doesn't really have any sort of notable effect on one's like mental state. So it's like if you're taking bladder medication stuff, don't they usually refer to any sort of medication as a drug?
It mostly says it causes a physiological effect.
Well, then that's everything.
But not food.
Well, then oxygen's a drug if that's the case. Wood chippings are a drug if that's the case.
Lies.
Psychological effects or physiological effects? Because
physiological effects, I'm pretty sure.
Well, then everything has a physiological effect that you consume.
Can be consumed in a variety of ways, including like through lozenges and nose sprays. In addition to being used medically, it has also become an increasingly recreational drug.
Ketamine enemas.
Sort of out west in the tech world. And so, but the FDA has warned that it can have these side effects, and the bladder issues can involve like pain and control.
My God, you don't even know what to say. I mean, what is the sense that...
Do you think there was a moment where both Musk and Trump were giving some kind of address to the public while both of them were wearing Depends?
Obviously, the reporting is about a period in time that ended in November. He's leaving after a lot of...
I could see them both a little coked up together or something like that. That seems like something they do.
I mean, I could see Musk pulling Trump aside for a little K bump before they go up and hit the mic in the podium.
Yeah.
Political analysis sort of assessing that he cost the Republicans a seat in Wisconsin. I mean, what is the sense of how much we still don't know about Elon Musk and Donald Trump?
Well, I think that's a really good question, and obviously our story comes
how much
when he
ketamine were they doing together
to some extent. And I think that all of us are going to be processing and analyzing what has happened, both publicly but also behind the scenes over the past year. And it's also important to note that while our reporting on his drug use, this drug use that was much more intense than previously known.
Okay, so the Google definition says a medicine or other substance which has a physiological effect when ingested or otherwise introduced in the body. So this definition doesn't even negate it being a food. So I would say that a drug is pretty much whatever the government says is a drug. There you go. That's the definition of a drug.
Yeah.
They label some kind of substance, a drug, narcotic, whatever, and there you go. That's the litmus
I think
test.
that because the president is a Republican, the Republicans will really like that logic. And then as soon as we have a Democrat president, they'll think it's horrific. Well, the Democrats won't be worried at all about it for some reason. Ping pong, ping pong.
Through the end of last year, and we can't say with certainty whether he was continued to use drugs once he entered the White House and was given the keys to slash the federal bureaucracy. And listen, we asked the White House about whether or not they had drug tested Musk, and they refused to answer those.
There's a junkie in the house, the White House.
Questions. SpaceX, one of his companies, after he smoked weed in 2018 on Joe Rogan's podcast, that triggered. SpaceX has billions of dollars in contracts, and they are required because of that to maintain a drug-free workplace and test their employees. And our reporting.
Damn, fucking little rat Elon he hit one little toke of the smoke on Joe Rogan.
See, it's a gateway drug.
Nah, not even. It's a gateway to all his employees getting fucked. Because he just had to take one little fucking clown.
Are you saying that he's a careless CEO?
Yes.
And maybe because of that, he also shouldn't be the executive or the administrator of a government administration?
I don't know if we should go that far, Gene, okay?
those tests. So what's certain is that there doesn't seem to be any, there hasn't been any sort of scrutiny or true monitoring or testing of this drug use, even as it sort of bubbled up behind the scenes. And, today the White House issued a statement saying that they, just basically saying that they gave Musk a lot of credit for what he's done, but still refusing to answer our questions about whether or not they've drug tested him.
But importantly, did they deny anything in your story?
Nobody's denied anything in our story. And today at this press conference,
Why don't you think they want to answer the question? So do you think there's a reason why? Yeah.
All the drugs. Probably all the drugs, John.
Probably because they're doing
the
drugs
honest
themselves.
answer isn't the answer they want the press to know about.
It was about our story, and he shut that down. He didn't even let the question out in its entirety. He just, he refused to engage.
Oh, look, there's Lincoln. Did you know Lincoln was Republican? So it was the Republicans that freed the slaves. They took the Democrats' slaves away from them. Did you know that?
Doesn't that mean that Lincoln would hate the current Republicans?
Lincoln looks ashamed right now, doesn't he? He looks like he's
like
just
Jesus
down.
Christ.
One
What
of
have
the
we come
reasons
to?
why all of the Confederate states ended up shifting red as opposed to blue is because they were so ashamed of the slavery that they engaged in. That's why they turned blue, or that's why they turned red. Yeah.
Reporting. He hadn't responded to our questions. We started to submit as early as Monday, and he basically just instructed everybody to move on.
I know he has a lot of personal relationships. Are all of those relationships governed by NDAs, or is it possible to report on any of his past partners?
It is extremely hard to report on him, like many powerful.
Bill Hicks says it was one Republican that freed the slaves. Exactly. He did it all by himself.
He's like a superhero.
Yes.
People.
Now you see, if you lay out a penny, a dime, a nickel, and a quarter, you'll notice that Lincoln is the penny, the different colored one, and that all the other presidents are turning their backs on him. Just something that I felt was very relevant.
Dude,
I don't know. Was it Chacagawea? She's on the American dollar. That's a different color.
The second Sacagawea.
Second she does.
Second
Genesis was on there.
Proclamation.
Of people in his inner circle and who have been.
But yeah, there's a woman on the U.S. currency.
With him,
that means the money is woke now. I don't want to use it anymore.
More than 12 people, more than a dozen people who have known him and have worked for him. And so, that felt to us like it was a significant body of people.
Next vid.
Genesis.
Ceasefire drill was years in the making. With high
I was hoping nobody heard that.
Okay, here. So, Shab, where's Taiwan?
Ooh, tell them, Shab.
Where they're in an
I don't know where it is, so you got to help me out here. Where's Taiwan?
No, in the median,
It's
general idea.
Next to Malaysia.
I wouldn't say it's next to it. Which
Well,
direction on a compass? Which direction is it from Malaysia?
It's
north.
In the direction in which people speak Taiwanese.
You shouldn't be telling him. And they don't speak Taiwanese.
Yeah, not right now, at least.
Oh, God, Shab. Yes. So,
I don't
see,
know.
Shab doesn't pay attention because we've gone over Taiwan and their dispute with China and everything.
It's called Chinese Taipei.
The fact that he even placed it near Malaysia is impressive, John.
Shabinsky, what language do they speak in China?
Japanese.
Shut the fuck up. You know that's wrong.
Technically, it's not called Chinese. I know that Gene was waiting for that answer.
It's like a trick question. Okay, Chinese, Gene.
Kinda. It's Mandarin.
What? Well, that's a chicken.
That's an orange, actually.
And I knew that was what Shabisky was going to say in response to.
Ain't a language, idiot.
But
so uncultured.
Chab, what's the particular conflict that's been going on quite a while with Taiwan and China?
They don't like each other.
Did we get past the geographical aspect of this, though?
I don't know, Gene. Have we gone over this?
So, yeah, we've gone over this like a million times. See, Shab, you never pay attention. We got to make flashcards for Shab. Imagine how much knowledge you would have where when you're dealing with annoying spurgs that want to act like you're an idiot and shit, you'd be able to be like, actually.
But I would just be, making them look like an idiot by using idiotic language, like idiotic logic, where it's like, oh yeah,
okay, whatever.
I know
he would meet them at their level.
So that actually makes me smart.
Yeah, but essentially, China during the Chinese Civil War, when Mao killed a lot of fucking people, you had the Democratic, like, I guess, side and the communist side, or the capitalist, communist, like, sort of factions fighting with each other. They declared a ceasefire when Japan went in and annexed a large part of China during World War II. Post-World War II, the UN decided all colonies had to go. And during the Sino-Japanese Wars, Japan annexed Taiwan and the Korean Peninsula. So they had to cede that back to China. So then when the fighting continued after World War II, things didn't go well in the favor of the capitalists, so they had to flee to Taiwan. And Taiwan was also referred to as the Republic of China. And then China is referred to as the People's Republic of China. So both claim to be the official government of China, up until very recently, where the younger generations are like, yeah, we ourselves to be kind of our own thing now. But one thing that's kind of funny is that when the UN was established, there's the 5 countries that have vetoing power. They've gone over this like a million times. So what are those 5 countries, Shab?
The US, right?
Yeah.
China.
Yeah.
You say the UN? It cut out for a second.
No, the US.
Yeah. No, the UN. Yeah. The 5 countries that have vetoing power. So he's gotten 2 so
China.
far.
You said China and France?
No.
Yeah. This is a quiz for Shabisky.
Well, no, I thought those were the answers he'd already given.
Wait, what's
Russia?
France?
Russia?
What? Oh, yep. No. I think he's only gotten 3 so far.
Well,
because he named the.
Well, I'm not gonna re-say the ones he already just said. Like he said, France.
Oh. See, shouldn't be giving him answers.
But the
I heard somebody else say France. Though. That was
no. Oh,
you say Australia?
Oh, you were so close, Shibisky. 4 out of 5. You phoned a friend. Yeah, this is the end.
Well, so essentially, because they were kind of the recognized government of China at the time, they ended up fleeing to Taiwan because things didn't work in their favor. So it was something like the UN didn't start treating China's current government as the official government of China. So they didn't hold the seat in the UN until the late 70s. So with a lot of issues, even though China sided with the Soviets like throughout the Cold War and assisted them in all of these proxy wars, Taiwan was voting on the behalf of China, and they had China's vetoing power. So they voted like for getting involved in the Korean War, even though China was backing North Korea. So like that's a little interesting piece of trivia. But Xi Jinping claims that, you know what, Taiwan, they don't have a choice. They're an official part of China, and they're going to become part of China again, whether they like it or not. And of course, Taiwan, they've been living
like Israel, kind of like trying to take their land back or whatever, you know.
One sec, Shab.
No! Shut up, Gene. Not kind of like that?
This kind of sounds like, World War One, like, when they were trying to get their land back.
Shut up, Gene. Are you trying to wrestle about
By
this?
Taiwan. These HIMARS, high-mobility artillery rocket systems, arrived here late last year. The same systems Ukrainian soldiers have been using to target...
So one thing that they've been investing in is it's known as the Porcupine strategy, or the Switzerland defense strategy, where essentially instead of just investing in the typical military setup where you got your Air Force, your Navy, and yada yada, it's investing in just natural defenses. So, setting different bridges and roadways to detonate if they try to invade, investing in things like sea mines, to make it such a hazard for them to invade to begin with, that when they do the cost-benefit analysis, they might decide, okay, we just won't even bother. And they started initiating this plan just 4 or 5 years ago. So one of the issues is that when they do all the war games and so forth, crunch the numbers, clearly China has a much stronger military. So even though Taiwan has invested in a decent amount of military tech and so forth, if they had the same quality of military tech, but China just has a much larger supply of the same kind of military tech, then of course it's the same quality but a greater quantity. So the issue is the clock is ticking down. They're trying to implement this new defense strategy, but will they be able to do it in time before China decides, or Xi Jinping decides, to invade?
Russian positions. Mobile launchers are equipped with guided rockets that can strike 185 miles away. That's well beyond the southeastern coast of China. More of these rocket systems will be delivered here next year. That's earlier than planned, part of this race to overhaul Taiwan's defenses. This colonel said, we have 100% confidence in our readiness, new equipment, and strategy. Taiwan is a self-governing democracy that Beijing claims as its own. China's President Xi Jinping makes no secret of his intentions to unify the island with the mainland and won't rule out using force.
We face a huge challenge, a security challenge from the mainland China. So we have to make ourselves very well on the combat readiness.
Billions of dollars in U.S.
Now, somebody mentioned Tibet in the chat. That's something else. America. Yeah, America does definitely encroach on other affairs and so forth, so America deserves a lot of criticism. But one thing I'll hear a lot of idiots say is when they want to try to act all woke is, well, China, their government may be authoritarian and stuff, but you don't see them invading other countries like the U.S. And
yeah, they absolutely do.
Yeah, after the Chinese Civil War, Mao went in and he annexed Inner Mongolia from Mongolia. So there's more ethnic Mongolians living in Inner Mongolia than Mongolia itself. And then he annexed East Turkestan. That's where the Uyghur population is. And that's a huge geographical region that I believe there's multiple different territories that kind of view themselves as being their own sort of sovereign states. And then they annexed Tibet.
I was about to bring that up.
They're laying claims to the South Chinese Sea, which is an international sort of body of water. So a very large amount of global trade goes through the South Chinese Sea, and they've been building artificial islands on the sea. So one of the big things is with the UN, they've established that if you're a certain amount of nautical miles from your shoreline, that's technically your own territory. But if you're outside of that distance, then it falls in the realm of international water. So China decided to find an interesting loophole by building the artificial islands. And there you go. And then what's stopping another country from just, let's build a bunch of artificial islands in the Mediterranean Sea?
I think that some of the online leftists that defend that, I think a lot of them got it from Hassan Piker, because he claimed once that specifically with Tibet that China was historically entitled to that land.
That Taiwan was entitled to Tibet?
No, that China was.
No. I'd say that, well, the problem there is, that's the same argument with like Israel, where, and the irony is that he defends Gaza, which we do not endorse what Israel's doing, so we think they are committing a shit ton of war crimes, but he claims to be a critic of Israel, but then people use the same argument with Israel, that thousands of years ago, in literal ancient times, the Israelis were there first, or the Jewish people were there first, therefore they're entitled to that land. So even though people had been living there with their own culture, their own government and everything for thousands of years, they should have the land seized for them because of what their ancestors did thousands of years ago. So based on that logic, I mean, it's kind of self-defeating because that logic would be applied to Israel as well.
Arms deals have been helping Taiwan build up and revamp its defenses with weapons like drones, missiles, and upgraded fighter jets. They've expanded mandatory military service to 1 year, and reservist training just increased too. I think it's useful in practice as this reservist. U.S. military personnel are also involved with training, at least dozens of them according to the Pentagon, though an exact number on the ground and what they do is a bit murky. It's all fundamental to a U.S. mandate to provide Taiwan with weapons and skills to deter any attack by China. HIMARS mark a significant step, as well as an intelligence sharing deal with the U.S.
Is it a game changer for Taiwan?
Yeah.
Yet now, more than
ever, that's another thing, land-to-sea based artillery, anti-air technologies, that's part of like the Porcupine defense tactics. So instead of investing in fighter jets to go against China's fighter jets, you invest in surface-to-air defense systems.
There are questions about reliability and whether the U.S. would intervene if China ever invaded.
Taiwan did take all of our chip business. You know, we used to make our own chips. Now they're made in Taiwan.
Officials in Taipei were rattled first by comments President Trump made on the campaign trail regarding semiconductors, and then telling Bloomberg in an interview after his inauguration that Taiwan, quote, should pay us for defense.
You don't have the cards.
Then came the collapse.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Of U.S. support for Ukraine, and now the threat of steep tariffs on Taiwan's exports.
We still consider that there is a...
So, if his concern is, you know, America benefiting financially, I don't think if China takes control of Taiwan, it would benefit us more in terms of the cost of semiconductors and, like, microchips. So... But hey, Trump is a self-made billionaire, so he knows his shit when it comes to economics.
Conflicting, ideas emerging in the U.S. government right now. Which voices or narratives should we listen to?
Taiwan's president is pledging this week to buy more American goods as it tries to downplay tariff tensions as friendly friction. But leaning into the anxiety is China, ramping up military activity around the island, and most recently, staging amphibious landing drills in the Taiwan Strait. The head of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, Admiral Samuel Paparo, warned that Chinese exercises are not drills but rehearsals, leaving the island looking to Washington for clues about whether more deals will equal a deterrent for China or...
I know. Let's declare more tariffs on China. That will stop them from invading Taiwan.
Just more uncertainty. Janice Mackey-Frere, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about...
A new warning from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth about a potential war in Asia.
It has to be clear to all.
At a conference in Singapore, Hegseth said China was, quote,
Now, do you think Hegseth is on drugs? Do you think he's on ketamine?
Incredibly preparing for an invasion of Taiwan.
Probably drunk.
Here on the self-ruled island Beijing claims as its own a race to overhaul defenses. Mandatory military service and reservist training have been extended.
I am currently reading about those rifles that they have. It's the T-86.
Are they like smart rifles?
No, these are actually pretty old school. It's like a 90s design. Those are built mostly to like on the front. I'm trying to think of a way to explain it that's like civilian friendly, but like the railings on the front are basically designed for grenade launchers and sights that go with those grenade launchers.
When are they going to make triggerless guns where you don't have to pull the trigger, it just auto scans and it knows, yep, that's an enemy, and it automatically fires?
Right. I know that people have tried to make those the smart gun concept that people talk about. That is a thing that's been attempted a few times.
Just put wings on the gun, and there you go. Have it do its thing.
Yeah, there you
Tension
go.
with Taiwan is ramping up, with China.
Which that is pretty much a thing. If you look at a lot of those sniper drones or aerial drones, it literally is just some kind of aerial platformer casing that they put different rifles where they can swap out which particular firearm it uses.
Forces staging regular drills around the island. And the use of force has not been ruled out. Fundamental to defenses here, billions of dollars in U.S. weapons, including missiles and upgraded aircraft, as well as U.S. intelligence. The biggest
See, how much are they paying us for those weapons?
step yet, U.S.-made HIMARS, or high-mobility artillery rocket systems purchased by Taiwan, that can strike beyond China's coast.
Oh,
Well,
seems
let's
like
see
they are paying us.
The HIMARS systems are known for being mobile and precise. These are the same systems Ukrainian soldiers have been using to target
Yeah,
Russian
we sell them to the Haitian military, the Iraq militaries.
Yeah. Well, it's like they need to be
Jordanian.
like, paying us for defense, and it seems like they're spending a lot of money on military tech from the U.S., so I don't know.
Well, apart from the rifles, they're also probably buying a lot of 5.56 NATO ammunition and 40 millimeter grenades, because that was actually what piqued my interest. Was I didn't realize that the Taiwanese were literally just buying weapons and ammunition from us, and it turns out that is exactly what it is.
intervened to defend Taiwan. President Trump has said Taiwan should pay us for defense. It's why reservists like Alex Su are teaching civilians to defend themselves.
So what the fuck does that mean? They should pay us for defense?
It's all about that.
And they have military bases in Taiwan. So is that his logic, that they should pay us for having like the bases there? But one of the things that they're doing as compensation for us having military bases there is that we're able to have military bases on another part of the globe where we can easily deploy troops from that part of the globe when needed. So we can have a large military presence near China.
By the way, according
it's a
to
strategical asset.
go ahead. Well, according to Wikipedia, we have sold about 5,000 of that rifle specifically, but that doesn't mean all of that has gone to Taiwan.
Hey, don't I guess leak the fact that we're using Wikipedia for all our research.
Wikipedia. Oh
yes.
Training, because we're training stuck in.
It looks like we've also sold a lot of M16A2 sites, which that's what the Marines were using a lot of in the 90s, possibly even like the early 2000s.
Now, I know this is an aside, but with the Wikipedia thing, I think it's funny how people will always be like, oh yeah, Wikipedia. But then whenever they want to look something up on their phone to prove somebody wrong, they will always go to Wikipedia.
Right.
Much of Taiwan's military revamp is being influenced by the war in Ukraine. Tony Liu fought there as a volunteer and says the biggest challenge here is denial. No one wants war. I don't want it either, he says, but we may not have a choice. Officials in Taipei are looking to Washington for clues, while across the Taiwan Strait, China is watching. Janice Mackey-Freyer, NBC News, Taipei.
Do you think China's watching?
Yeah, they're watching our stream.
It's not just you.
Here, next story.
India's Chief of Defense Staff General Anil Chauhan has rejected the claim
So
60
India and Pakistan are starting to butt heads again.
Indian fighter jets were downed by Pakistan in an interview with Bloomberg TV on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore.
So what I can say is on 7th and the initial stages, there were losses, but the numbers, and that's not important. What was important is why did these losses occur and what did we do after that? So we rectified the tactics and then went back on 7th, 8th and 10th in large numbers to hit air bases deep inside Pakistan. Penetrated all their air defenses with impunity.
Now, speaking of China and their sort of territorial disputes, they also have an ongoing territorial dispute with India. So when are they going to send troops there and go to war with India? Just maybe they just need to ally with Pakistan, get it over with.
Which carried out precision strikes.
During a press briefing on Operation Sindoor, Air Marshal A.K. Bharti also was asked about Pakistan's claims of the loss of Indian fighter jets. In response to the question, he too categorically said that India achieved its objectives to target terror camps and all Indian pilots were home safely.
We are in a combat scenario.
Now, Pakistan claims that they had a 100% success rate when it came to downing all the aircrafts and that they hit all their targets. So which one do you think's telling the truth?
Probably neither.
I do think India is probably what their claims most likely are much closer to the truth because they do have a much stronger military.
Well, yeah.
And losses are a part of combat. The question that you must ask us, and indeed that we must ask ourselves, you inclusive, is have we achieved our objectives? Have we achieved our objective of decimating that terrorist camp? And the answer is a thumping yes. And the results are for the whole world to see. As for the details, what could have been, how many numbers?
Okay, next vid.
India will fast-track the development of an advanced new stealth jet after suffering losses in air combat with Pakistan during the recent flare-up in tensions. One senior Pakistani security source
Now, didn't they claim that they didn't lose any of their jets?
told CNN the dogfight was, quote, the largest and longest in recent...
See, it's claims like that that I just will assume both sides are lying when it's shit like that flying around. But obviously when you're at war and one side is claiming to be destroying you and that's not happening, maybe they feel like there's no other choice but to talk the same amount of shit.
I think Tibet downed most of the aircraft in this little skirmish.
After over an hour. While both sides claim
they were so good that people don't even know that they participated
in the brief conflict earlier this month, a massive air battle ended with Pakistan as the clear victor, downing at least...
Chab, who's this?
I recognize him.
Do you pay attention at all when you're on stream, Chab?
Somewhat. I go. It's off
Somewhat?
and on.
Somewhat.
He's the president of India.
No.
No.
It's not the president of India. He's the
dictator.
It does start with a P. It also starts with a P.
Prime Minister? Oh, yeah. There we go.
What's his name?
Netanyahu. No?
Oh my God, Chad.
Is that the wrong one? Oh.
Are you being serious? That's not a joke?
Yeah, I don't remember names and stuff. I forget your name sometimes.
Okay, this is Prime Minister Modi, and Netanyahu's the president of Ukraine.
Oh, yeah, okay. I get names mixed up, Gene.
3 Indian jets at the cost of none of its own. This included at least one French-made Rafale jet, a plane considered one of the best in the world with a previous reputation for invulnerability. New Delhi is now seeking to develop its own 5th-generation stealth fighter. Currently, only the US, China, and Russia have developed and possessed 5th-generation fighters. Other countries, including Turkey, South Korea, Japan, and Sweden, have their own 5th-generation programs, but they are still in the development stages.
Ooh.
India is hoping to harness the full capabilities of the public and private sectors to develop its new fighter, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. Even with the added urgency due to the recent conflict, it will take a great deal of effort to boost the program. The first prototype was originally scheduled to fly in 2017. It's now expected to fly by 2028. The aircraft arms race is paired with a drone arms race. The effectiveness of drones during the recent conflict has triggered heavy local investment.
Major immigration raid in Tallahassee today. Homeland Security's Tampa office sharing on X about an hour ago that they arrested over 100 people at a construction site in College Town.
HSI saying they are from countries like Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Colombia. The raid happening about 9 o'clock this morning. WCTV has had crews on scene all day. Our Abreu
Chad is too busy to...
Ruffin is there for us right now and joins us live. Abreu, what do we know?
Oh, and Kropos. Yeah, before anyone corrects me, I know President of Israel, not Ukraine. Zelensky is.
Julie, Jacob, we now know that some of the detainees have been deported before, and officials say some have criminal backgrounds. More than 50 FHP troopers assisted in today's raid. They lined up dozens of construction workers at a check-in table to see who was here legally and who was not. An emotional scene for many watching. Some saw their loved ones loaded on.
Okay, so here's the thing. They've decided that to revoke the parole status for a bunch of refugees who are here from mostly Haiti and Venezuela that are here for seeking asylum. And they're going to deport a large amount of those refugees back to Haiti. And what's been going on in Haiti, Shabisky? We've only covered this like several times.
Can you give me some clues?
Okay, Zidane, what's been going on in Haiti?
I don't think I've been here to
So-
cover what's been going on in Haiti.
The gangs had pretty much taken control of the country, and they've pretty much broken out every single convicted gang member from all of their prisons to the point where there's more armed gang members than there are armed military personnel. And the big dude that seems to get the most coverage, who's got the most infamy, his name's Lieutenant Barbecue.
Oh, you know what?
Barbecue.
I was here for that, yeah.
And do you know why they call him, like, Sergeant Barbecue?
Yeah. Because he lights people's houses and cities on fire or whatever.
He's for a very nice reason.
People's property on fire. He definitely leaves his mark once he comes and goes. So when there's a bunch of scorched bodies as along with scorched earth, it's like, Sergeant Barbecue was there. So they're gonna send all these people back to Sergeant Barbecue's Haiti. And when people are like, hey, like, why is this America's problem or whatever, like, assholes that are going to try to discount it based on that. One thing that
do any of you guys know how to pronounce that last name, by the way? Because it's a French last name. I'm not good with French last names.
Well, wait, what?
Sergeant Barbecue's real name, Jimmy...
I don't
Jimmy
know,
something.
Anyway, one of the things that allowed them to take control of the country is they were able to obtain a large amount of firearms from the black market. And which U.S. state do you think most of those firearms came from?
I want to say Texas, but I feel like that's not the answer.
Oh,
a southern state.
Florida.
Oh, Florida. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Why are they fucking Texas?
Because they love their guns in Texas, but I wasn't thinking about the transportation thing for some reason.
There's a lot of manufacturing in Texas, to be fair, but yeah, like a lot of the shipping, a lot of the distribution to other countries is from Florida.
And conservatives, one of their big anti-immigration piece of rhetoric is, well, hey, all these immigrants coming in the country, it's like they are bringing drugs in the country, and the government of Mexico, they need to keep them in check, keep them in control. But then what about the United States, where a criminal market within the United States is smuggling firearms into Haiti? So that's definitely caused a lot of problems for Haiti. So I would say that this definitely is something that, based on Trump's logic, that the United States is partially responsible for.
Onto a bus and cuffs and carried off.
But by the way, the Prime Minister apparently announced last year that they will be increasing the defense budget by 252% and the military budget overall by 463%. So, I mean, probably not the best timing, but they're trying to address this.
Called her this morning scared as agents stormed the site.
This morning about 8:56, my husband calls me. They're working on the building right there behind us, and says that immigration had the building surrounded. I heard ladders coming up. They were pulling ladders up. All of them are scared.
But a lot of these people are going to be sent home to their deaths. So when it comes to granting people asylum, I mean, I'm sorry, you're a fucked up human being if you claim. It's one thing if you think that immigration's gotten out of hand. It's one thing if you think that a lot of illegal immigrants should be deported. But in a case like this, it's just you're literally signing their death warrant by sending them back to Haiti.
Yeah, and also, like, being for asylum and for taking in immigrants doesn't automatically mean that you're for just letting them in without vetting them or giving them free money. All the crazy like Rush Limbaugh-esque shit that you'll hear. Like it's not like there isn't some process, especially now. You know, if you have if your concern involves immigration getting out of hand and too many people getting in who are criminals, maybe you should look at your president for not doing something about that.
He lets criminals out of jail.
I blame Hamas.
And wait, don't fight with them.
Parrish says they have 5 kids, and now she doesn't know when their dad will be coming home. She stood at the fence earlier crying and begging agents to tell her where her husband was being taken. She now knows that he has been detained. She says this is the second time her husband has been taken into ICE custody. He bonded out in 2019. She says that they're still waiting on his full citizenship paperwork.
It's crazy because Trump's supposed to, he's firing all these people in the government to save money, but then how much money is getting wasted on this ICE bullshit, Like how much funds are getting wasted towards this crap that we're looking at?
Here's the thing. We need to make America great again.
Great again.
So it's ICE and it's, Homeland Security and everything. They are the agencies, like the ATF and so forth, DEA. He's been using a lot of ATF and DEA agents to substitute their lack of ICE personnel. And it's almost like it's the agencies that, have the firearms that are trained to kick in people's doors and stuff. It's almost like it's, why is it those agencies that he wants to fund? He wants to make more, make them more productive. But why do you think that is? Compared to like the CDC, which regulates big, pharmaceutical companies and everything, or the FDA, which regulates pharmaceutical drug companies, or
it regulates his businesses and stuff like that.
Or all the CDC does is push a liberal conspiracy mumbo jumbo.
Well, he's defunding the IRS, which they're supposed to, make sure people are paying their fucking taxes. So, I don't know, it seems like it's all the jackboot agencies that he wants to support because he wants his army of toadies.
Right.
Eyewitness News.
All right, a Bray Ruffin for us this evening. Thank you.
A spokesperson for the construction company working that site says they verify their employees using the required E-Verify system. Hedrick Brothers Construction also says they require all subcontractors to follow that same standard. We're working to find out more about the subcontractors that may have had employees on site today.
And while on scene, we saw a white bus pull up and agents loading people in zip ties on board. Homeland Security will not comment on exactly how many people were detained or where those buses were headed.
There's a reason why these scum fucks wear masks, by the way.
Dude, look at this dude. He looks pretty old in his mask. Seems like maybe he should retire.
With pending criminal charges were taken to the Leon County Jail.
And we've got some news from the Supreme Court today, with the High Court again allowing the Trump administration to take away legal protections from some migrants. We want to bring in our Scripps News legal affairs correspondent, Avajoy Burnett, live from our D.C. newsroom with more on what exactly the justices had to say today. So,
next vid.
Tonight, President Trump's immigration crackdown ramping up, with sweeping raids across the state of Florida. Just as the Supreme Court gives the president a major victory today, revoking...
And the logic that a bunch of Trump tards like to use is, yeah, well, a lot of these people are gang members. They're criminals. And it's like, okay, if they happen to be, like, part of the cartel and stuff, and you have sufficient evidence to prove that, then fine. I don't care if you arrest them, detain them, deport them. But most of them are not members of any sort of cartel. And
yeah, also, when something like this happens and you're working backwards from a conclusion, you're probably wrong. Like the people who say, well, they were probably a gang member, they're working backwards from a conclusion. All they know is that the person was brown, so probably a gang member.
Well, brown and tattoos.
Yeah, brown, tattoos.
Those two things automatically mean they're a gang member. But it is just illegal immigrants.
Joking, guys,
statistically,
of people that say that.
Statistically, they commit less crimes than legal immigrants, and legal immigrants commit less crimes than natural-born citizens. So it's just okay, like their logic of they come here illegally and they commit crimes. Well, any demographic, especially any demographic that is in the millions, you're gonna find criminals within that demographic. So it is just stupid logic. I guess we should deport all natural-born citizens, because look, by allowing these natural-born citizens to reside in the country, this person committed a crime. This kid committed a mass shooting. Like, all of these mass shooters and serial killers, they're all natural-born citizens. So they wouldn't have been able to commit all this mass murder and stuff if they were deported from birth.
Yeah, let's deport all white women, because I've known like 5 that got caught shoplifting.
Yeah, exactly.
That's no
Status for migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. That means that even as the original ruling is appealed, the Trump administration can deport more than 500,000 people currently in the U.S. from those 4 countries, even though many arrived legally under a Biden-era program.
It's very important that we're able to get those people out of here fast, bring them back to their country where they belong.
That speed picking up in recent days here in the Sunshine State.
Construction workers were working on this building behind me when law enforcement came from all directions, descending on them, rounding them up in the hundreds.
This construction site in Tallahassee, now the site of one of the largest immigration raids in state history. Workers seen on video Thursday pouring out of the building near FSU campus
Now,
with their construction.
Do you think they're taking jobs from natural-born citizens? Because one issue is that a lot of these jobs, people don't want to work. And that's the issue, is that one thing that's kind of ironic with a lot of U.S. culture is that people who will claim that they can't find work, a lot of it is because they don't want to work some kind of laborious job. So the market is, I don't know, there isn't really a lot of people meeting the demand. So one of the things, whether it's legal or illegal immigration, they have to recruit nurses from the Philippines because there aren't enough Americans who are getting their nursing degrees to fulfill those roles. And a lot of, and this has to do with America's kind of toxic, everyone needs a degree culture, where you don't want to be the sort of blue-collar sort of laborer. You want to be the CEO. So if you don't have some prestigious sort of white-collar STEM job, then you need to look at yourself like you're a failure or lesser. But because of that, a lot of people won't actually take the option to, or to pursue these particular jobs that are available. And I know so many people that there is sort of this culture amongst like millennials and Zoomers where, because they're not able to pass their classes and they're not able to actually obtain a degree, they go through this weird limbo stage in their 20s where they just refuse to find a job outside of Starbucks. It's not because there aren't any jobs available, and a lot of these are kids where their parents pay for them to go to college, so they are kids from middle class and above sort of families. So they typically do live in areas where there's a healthy job market, but they kind of engage in this self-sabotage, where the reason why they insist on staying employed at those particular like entry-level retail jobs that don't pay a livable wage is because those are the jobs you typically work part-time if you're in school. So they'll keep telling themselves that they're just going through some stuff, they're going to go back to school eventually, and maybe people need to stop being so, I don't know, what would be the right word? Elitist? They kind of act as if they don't achieve these particular standards, then what do you think the term should be? I do think there's a level of like vulnerable narcissism there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, remember when we were watching Quiet on the Set and that person was complaining about, getting screwed over on her wages, which was, a valid thing to complain about. But part of it was she was saying like, I could make that working at McDonald's. Just like, I mean, you would get benefits, you would probably end up working better hours. Like, why don't you? But of course, to her, that kind of work would
It's
be
beneath
shameful.
them.
Yeah, it's beneath her. So that, like, in that way, I didn't feel bad for her at all.
And I do think that there should be basic benefits that everyone's entitled to, like universal health care. And I think that people should be paid a livable wage. So anyone that works full time should be able to afford some kind of, should be able to afford monthly rent and their utilities. But it is just, not even those like retail jobs. There are other jobs available. Like I had a cousin that they didn't want to work this job installing solar panels on people's roofs because
sounds like a great job.
Yeah, and the job paid far more than a livable wage and had benefits. They provided him with healthcare and stuff, but he didn't want to do it because, you know, those kind of jobs are beneath them.
When I started working security, like when I started working that job where like I got to see metal shows and punk shows all the time, I didn't exactly have all the hours I needed all the time, so I stuck with my gas station job and went from being, you know, one of the lead supervisors to just being a regular supervisor, and it filled it out, and I didn't consider the gas station job beneath me all of a sudden just because, you know, I was qualified to be a security supervisor.
Yeah, but at least you're not playing Fortnite for a living like this loser Chab.
Student housing, still wearing their construction vests, their hands tied.
Seems like yesterday, in some ways, was kind of.
I feel like
for sure. It's one of the big.
A lot of people have that mentality where they'll look down on someone who works at McDonald's or a gas station or something like that. But
I ran into plenty of assholes who had that attitude when I worked at a gas station and when I worked at a pizza place, when I worked at a grocery store, and I was just like, fuck them, I don't care. Like, there's a reason why I never make that assumption when I go into a grocery store or something like that. Like, the person bagging my groceries could be in med school and on the cusp of making more money than I'll ever make. So don't go fucking judging people like that.
But it's also, you can't just blame millennials and Zoomers, the younger generations, because this sort of mentality of you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be just a retail worker. You need to go to college. If you do not work some job that requires some kind of college education, then you're doing life incorrectly. So you can blame the boomers and the Gen Xers for trying to instill that sort of ideology or that sort of culture.
But what I was gonna say too is like, if to the people that like feel like people that work those jobs should be embarrassed, they shouldn't they? Like, I think like it's ironic because if that's the case, they should be embarrassed walking into the fast food joint to get the food.
Right.
You know, like if. It's
those poor fucks. Like
seriously, I'm like, if I go to McDonald's, I'm going there for some cheap ass slop, and that doesn't make me like, and it goes to show that I don't got much money.
Dude, I'm not gonna defame myself by walking to a fast food place. The only reason I would go to a fast food place is to use the restroom.
Yeah, but it's like
it is beneath me.
Yeah, if it's like if it's like that, then they should feel ashamed for walking into that place to get a burger.
When I walk into a fast food place, it just exudes failure and worthlessness, and it just makes my soul like ache and bleed. So
yeah, fuck people that think that way.
Biggest raids we've ever seen, and it involved several state agencies plus ICE. We are hearing that about 200 people showed up for work. More than 100 of them were detained.
Tallahassee immigration attorney Elizabeth Ritchie says she's getting calls by the dozens.
I'm concerned about due process violations. We've been seeing those, unfortunately.
Somebody says, I'm 30, and I was living in Europe when I was 20 for 3 years. I'm not really like anyone my age, most people my age are poor or retarded. Well, to be fair, most people are either poor or retarded, or both.
More and more recently. I want to make sure that everyone's rights are protected.
Especially the further south you go in America.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But that's all libtard news. Even though it's statistics from credited academic institutions, but hey. Those are libtard sources.
As migrants show up to their immigration hearings. This video from Thursday showing a family with 4 children detained outside of this San Antonio immigration courthouse. With workplace raids also on the rise, like the Tallahassee one Governor DeSantis touts as a major bus success. The recent raids across the country are also raising outcry.
This is Gestapo-like behavior, where plainclothes officers wearing masks are terrorizing immigrants.
There you go. Liberals want to call anyone a Nazi.
Who are doing the right thing by going to court.
Well, I don't know. Didn't Trump's buddy do a Nazi salute? Or was it a Turkish salute?
I do believe that he was saying that his heart goes out to you.
Yeah. Trying to come into this country lawfully.
President Trump's administration pushed ICE with a quota of 1,800 arrests per day in the days after his inauguration. According to data obtained by NBC News, ICE deported over 17,000 people last month. That's up more than 50% from deportations in February. But border czar Tom Homan says it's not enough.
But I'm not satisfied. I haven't been satisfied all year long because what I just said, we got 600,000 criminals walking the streets of this country we need to get. So yeah, we increase the number of teams. We're going to have over 1,000 teams on the street. We're putting more targeting in this. We got to increase these arrests and removals.
All right, Marissa, let's pick it up right there. I know you're at a rally for immigration rights hosted by activists there behind you. We just heard Tom Homan there. I want to pick up right there. Should we expect more raids in the days ahead?
Well, Tom, I can tell you right now that what we saw in Tallahassee is probably most likely a sign of what's to come, what's to be ramped up in the coming days and weeks. So behind me, you might be able to hear the noise. This is from an immigration rights group, and all of the allies that have come out, they're wearing a lot of signs that say that they are in support of local immigrants, asking ICE to get out of this local area. But what was so striking about what we saw in Tallahassee, because raids are not new, these types of protests and rallies are not new, Tom, but what is new is this partnership between state and federal agencies, as well as the sheer scale of this. We really have not seen something like this in Florida, at least at this scale, at a workplace raid before. So this is what we're talking about when we say, in order to meet that quota, we might be saying more of exactly that, Tom.
Okay, Marissa Parra there in Tallahassee. Marissa, we thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay.
And I guess it's kind of hard to measure this, but from think tanks, one of the things they find is even people on the right claim that they've never believed to have had a job taken from them or have lost a job opportunity due to an illegal immigrant. So the irony is that even in these surveys where you'll see the demographic of people that are claiming that, yeah, they think it's affecting the country. They think that it's taking jobs away from the working man. The majority of people that claim that that say that they believe that also will claim that they don't think that they've ever personally had a job taken from them due to immigration. So it just kind of shows that it's this boogeyman that they pander to. And even though it doesn't affect them at all, it's just for some reason, it's always in their forethought.
It's literally the tired South Park joke of the goobacks they took my gerb. They took her gerbs.
And I know it's anecdotal on my end when I whenever I talk to somebody on the right, and usually they're an old fart complaining about illegal immigration, when it's I live in Maryland, so these are people that live above the Mason-Dixon line, where it's just illegal immigration isn't really that much of a thing, except, I don't know, in New York, you do have asylum cities and so forth. But I'll ask them, have you ever had a job taken from you due to it being stolen by an immigrant, legal or illegal? So when have you had issues finding a job where the reason you suspect is that they hired some illegal immigrant over you? And none of them claim to that they've honestly
You're just so
experienced
fucking
it.
employable, Cletus.
Yeah, but they're going to claim that even though it hasn't happened to them, it still affects a lot of people. And it's just, have they looked into statistics to confirm this? Or any sort of research that validates this? Because then that's just a baseless sort of suspicion. And it's like, if it's just a suspicion, then why are they so fucking obsessed with it? When there are other things that negatively affect the economy that they don't really seem to care about at all. Things that have much more hard evidence and hard data, like proving that it is just unequivocally true.
Breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app.
The Supreme Court today could lead to the deportation of nearly 500,000 immigrants. The High Court.
So Shab stepped away again, and Dirt stepped away. I need to fire these two.
Dirt went. Legal protections.
And NBC News reporter Annabelle Munoz says it's the latest in a series of crackdowns on immigration by the Trump administration.
It's the latest development in a layered legal immigration battle. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court issued an order that makes more than 400,000 previous.
Yeah. Okay, this is a shitty video.
The U.S. Supreme Court on Friday let the Trump administration revoke the temporary legal status of hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan, Cuban, Haitian, and
I believe we were there, Shab, during or no.
Nicaraguan migrants living in the United States.
The Lincoln
that swept away another obstacle
no,
to one
it's
of
not.
President Donald Trump's most aggressively pursued policies, mass deportation, and again showed the court's willingness to back his hardline approach to immigration. Trump's predecessor Joe Biden granted the status, known as immigration parole.
Have you heard the recent news about Biden, Shabisky? Don't tell him sit on.
I know. Wait. No. Colon cancer or whatever.
Prostate cancer.
Prostate.
Oh. Yeah.
To more than 500,000 migrants, giving them temporary legal permission to be in the United States for, quote, urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit, and allowing them to live and work in the country. The Biden administration's aim was to deter illegal immigration at the US-Mexican border. By ending parole, the Supreme Court decision potentially exposes many of its recipients to rapid removal. As with many...
When are they going to add sentry turrets to the wall? And in alligator mode... Nah, flamethrowers aren't that efficient.
The court's orders issued in an emergency...
You need just, like, sniper turrets, sniper drones.
Friday's decision was...
We need giant drones. No, we need drones that fly over and, like, that have nets and shoot, like, nets at them, and then the drones collectively grab them by, like, the nets and stuff and fly them back to whichever country.
Signed and gave no reasoning. Two of the 9-member court's 3 liberal justices, Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor, publicly dissented. On May 19, the court lifted another judge's order preventing the termination of temporary protected status for more than 300,000 Venezuelan migrants.
It's crazy, but
in some other cases,
like,
however,
that
the
idea
justices
you
have ruled
just said that'll probably exist in the near future, like cops arrest. That sounds like something that's doable, like with technology that we have or will have in the next like 10 or 20 years.
I don't think they're going to use some net launcher apparatus. And that technology kind of already exists. They'll use that for hunting.
With drones and a net launcher? And
well, maybe they'll use it for drones with hunting, but it seems like with people, it would be better to use some kind of, I don't know, like stun gun.
Maybe.
Administration must treat migrants fairly, as required under the U.S. Constitution's guarantee of due process.
Sounds like it would work to me in a lot of situations.
At a health fair for the Haitian community in Miami today, we met Harold Renard just one day after a Supreme Court decision upended his legal status. Harold fled Haiti in 2023, desperate to save his own life, and start a new one in Florida. Because of the gang violence there, he told us through an interpreter he can never go home. Would you be in danger?
Before I came, I was already in danger before.
So, out of all the problems going on, do you think these particular migrants, the ones that have this parole status because they're here seeking asylum because they don't want to be scorched by Sergeant Barbecue, how much do you think they're affecting the economy? It's just. I don't really think, like, when it comes to this specific set of migrants, I don't really think they're really negatively affecting the economy at all. And out of all the things that could be addressed currently, such as our piss poor education, which we'll get to that later, but I don't know, it seems like, again, this is just kind of a boogeyman. It seems like a lot of the people that are obsessed with this, I'm just going to say it, they're fucking racist. They're closeted racists. They want to argue that it's because of some, like, they care about the economy and so forth. They care about people having their jobs stolen. That's not what they care about. What they don't like is leaving their homes and going out and about and seeing non-white people where English isn't their first language existing like amongst them. They just want them all deported because they want things to be very homogenous because they're racist, bigoted pieces of shit. And it's the same thing with like them being obsessed with like trans issues. Whether you're one of those people where you want to argue that like, oh yeah, like the trans thing or whatever, it's just a mental illness. Even if you want to make that argument, it's just only it's like less than 1% of people identify as trans. So out of all the things that they should be concerned with, shouldn't it be like number 382 on the list of priorities? So it seems kind of odd that that seems to always be the second most significant thing on the list of priorities, and number one are these damn immigrants.
Yeah, it's like if they really...
And these immigrants are even darker, so they're even scarier to them.
Yeah, like if we go by their logic that it's just a dumb guy in a dress or whatever kind of stuff, it's like, well, why are you so worried about a guy in a dress?
Yes.
That's pretty fucking lame for that to be one of... Like if you went to the average Republican and asked them, like, what's your top 3 things that you care about in this country? They'd be like... That would be like the top 2 things most of them would say right off the bat would be...
They might not openly say
immigration and trans peoples.
They might not openly say it because they know a lot of them might be smart. Well, a lot of them are pretty stupid, but a lot of them probably know that if they say that immigration's one of their... or people being trans is one of their...
If you asked them and they
issues,
felt like they were comfortable with sharing that, like as if you were, you know... If they were in the situation where they maybe thought you were the same kind of person.
Well, they would probably know that they'd come across as really stupid, acting like that's one of the top priorities.
I don't think so. I think most of them would say that and not realize how stupid it is.
Their rhetoric on social media, like a lot of people I know personally, it clearly is like something they talk about the most, second to immigration. So whether they want to hide it or not, it still is very evident that it is like the second most prevalent thing on their mind.
I honestly disagree and think that most Republican people, if you approach them with them thinking that you are a Republican as well, and you just started going on about them damn dumb Democrats, whatever, you made them think that, and you asked them that question, that would be one of their top 3 things for sure, would be trans people.
If you ask them the question, what do you think? What are your top 3 things you're concerned with?
Yeah, if you ask them that, to me,
I do think a large amount.
Like you walk up and say a couple slurs to make them comfortable, and then you ask them like what their top 3 issues are.
But I do think that a large percentage will say that, like, oh, trans people in bathrooms and making our kids trans in school.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's like the bathroom thing, we've already went over that before, but it's so fucking stupid. But again, like, stop worrying about guys in dresses, you know, go on with your life. Focus on things that matter.
It's like I discussed before, it's just, there are people out there where they have a very limited set of interests. They just assume that their normal is everyone's normal. And they want things to be very insular, very, like, restricted, where it's like, if you're a dude, to them, you're allowed to like football, you're allowed to like cars, you're allowed to like grilling steaks at a barbecue, and golf. And if you have interests that fall outside of the very limited sort of range of interests that they have, then you're like gay, you're not a real man. All men are supposed to have like short hair. Like everyone needs to dress a certain way, and these are the kind of people where it really makes them angry when people just have a different lifestyle than they do. And it doesn't have to even be something to the extreme of a guy wearing a dress. It can be something really simple, like you just have different hobbies than they do. And that like pisses them off. So there are people out there where it's just they're not open to new experiences, they're not very eclectic, and they're limited and proud.
Yeah.
I was running and hiding because I couldn't stay in my neighborhood. So now going back would be even worse.
He's one of more than 500,000 people afforded temporary legal status under a Biden-era program known as CHNV, offering migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela the chance to live and work in the U.S. because of their country's violence and poverty.
We know that there is tremendous trepidation. We know there's fear.
But now an uncertain future after the Supreme Court on Friday allowed the Trump administration to revoke that legal status. Migrants in the U.S. under CHNV might still find other legal pathways, but now face the risk of deportation.
I don't care if I'm back on this time. So now I don't know what would happen to me if I ever have to go back.
And Ryan, we also have news today about a judge's ruling on a different group of immigrants.
Yeah, a controversial figure is stepping into Haiti's deepening crisis. Eric Prince, founder of the private military company Blackwater, has, the New York Times signed a contract to take on the gangs that have overrun much of the capital, according to Haitian and U.S.
So Shab's currently AFK, so I can't ask him about Blackwater
officials. Now, this
or what he knows about
the
Blackwater.
Haitian government turns to unconventional tactics, including weaponized drones. Joining me now from Washington.
Yeah, so Blackwater, for those of you who don't know, they did a sort of little My Lai-esque sort of massacre in, was it, Afghanistan?
Afghanistan.
Yeah, they shot up a bunch of innocent people just for the hell of it.
In the Scripps News,
I believe there was another one in Syria as well.
Bellini and Jason, what are we learning now?
I guess they're going to go in to confront Sergeant Barbecue.
Hi, Holly. Dramatic video posted by Haiti's police and since taken down appears to show armed drones striking gang strongholds in Port-au-Prince. Now, we're hearing that Blackwater founder Eric Prince is linked to a secret.
Crow, we're doing the 4-person rule. If we start breaking it, then it defeats the point of doing it. So that's our rule for now on, is that we are only going to have 4 people on a stream. Things get too chaotic when we have more than 4 people on.
Secret task force involved in those drone operations, and what's still unclear is whether any high-value gang targets were killed, and it's not known why the video was removed, but some sources suggest that concerns over how it might play internationally, especially with growing criticism from human rights groups who see those drone strikes as risking unnecessary collateral damage, hitting civilians. Prince is reportedly...
Now, how long's Dirt been gone? Because...
Quite a while.
If Dirt doesn't come back soon, maybe we'll kick Dirt and replace them with Crow.
I believe that was why Crow was asking.
Mercenaries to deploy to Haiti this summer. Keep in mind, this is a desperate moment for the country. I was just in northern Haiti where thousands of civilians are fleeing massacres in the gang-controlled south. For many...
Oh, it was a massacre in Baghdad in 2007. That was the one that I was thinking of.
I'll bring Crow in.
Hey, we have the drunken racist, Crow.
Hey, he's not racist.
Not yet.
Yes.
So we're right on the edge of the...
Give him a chance.
Well, he does have a shaved head, so I am suspicious of that. If we're going to deport anybody who is brown with tattoos, maybe we should deport anybody who's white who has a shaved head.
You're not wrong, Taylor.
This is one of the latest camps that's been built.
Deport guns on.
Oh. Well, I guess, Taylor, if you want to pop in, we can replace you with Crow, because Crow's not talking.
Well, he's getting
here.
He's getting his... Yeah, there we go.
I just got here. I was playing fucking poker and shit.
House. We need help in this country. Everybody's suffering out here.
None of them think they'll go home ever. Be kicked out of their houses by the gangs.
We're back in Haiti.
So there's the war against terrorism. So that went on for quite a while in the Middle East, which I've discussed this before when it comes to our national security. Seems like the big thing that made 9/11 happen was poor airline security. The fact that they could get into the cockpit of the plane and just put box cutters to the throat of the pilots and have them fly into the building. So it seemed like you prevent that from happening, and you don't have to really worry about another 9/11. So it seemed like engaging in this decade-long boondoggle in a completely different continental region that's all the way across the Atlantic or the Pacific was just kind of unnecessary. But here, it seems like with a lot of these cartels or these terrorist gangs in Haiti, this is right in our neighborhood. So if we want to improve things, why don't we try to stabilize some of our neighboring countries? And it seems like their government in Haiti actually wants support dealing with these gangs. So it seems kind of odd that we don't really seem to care about helping our neighbors to the south. And if you hate all the immigrants so much, seems like if you did that, there'd be less of it.
Yeah, I'm glad we're touching on this, and I'm gonna try not to go hit too far into my politics on this, but like I'm more pro-military than some people probably assume because of what my other politics are. But I feel like the pro-American patriotic position would really be to have a peaceful mindset about, you know, how we approach war and using our military might to stabilize neighboring countries that have these kinds of issues, because like isn't that the best way to like project the idea that you're the world police, or that you know you have the power to stabilize these regions in the first place?
Oh,
because we talk about our ability to stabilize these regions through force, but you know, oftentimes we end up destabilizing them even further.
In the chat, where they're like saying that, hey, we're just a bunch of conspiratorial leftists. The statement that we made about like them being brown with tattoos, that's hyperbole. It was a joke.
Also, who are we shilling for?
And we know that there is one case where that happened to be a thing, where pretty much the only evidence they had where they deported somebody who was here legally is that he had tattoos. So that's what they used in order to claim that he was connected to a gang. And this dude was a legal citizen that they arrested. So you're acting like, oh God, that's so like, that's a bunch of conspiracy theory nonsense. This is a well-documented case. But when we're saying that, we're not being serious about them just deporting anybody who has brown skin and tattoos. So it seems like that just went over your head.
Gang wars are getting worse.
It's more about the fact that if they have brown skin and tattoos, then people will justify the deportation just based on that.
You said no, he wasn't. He was arrested. So you need to look into the story more.
To gang territory in the capital Porto.
Well, I want to
gang defenses.
Say something on the point where you were talking about Samuel Smith, right?
Yeah, the dude in the chat.
Okay. He said that leftist thinks men can be women. There was this interview where it was a panel of like 6 trans soldiers, veterans, and one of them said like, "Oh yeah, the right thinks that we're too strong to be in female sports, but we're too weak to be in the military." And I'm like, what? Like they're all in the military.
Also, I just want to add, Ahmed, I agree with both those messages.
This is one of the city's main highways, but parts of it are closed, controlled by the gangster Jimmy Terizia, known by everyone here as Barbecue. Children on their way home from school live on the border of Barbecue's territory, and the security forces want to take it back. They've seen gang members at an intersection. Everyone scatters. They know what's coming next.
Ports aren't a safe space.
The second police vehicle is hit. The tire is punctured. They head back down the hill. The firing intensifies.
And where do you think they got a lot of these, like, munitions, these guns from?
Texas. I mean, Florida.
Yes,
and
the other state.
And the cartels, right, too? Don't you think?
Yeah, but a lot of Americans are tied to those cartels who are natural-born citizens, even white natural-born citizens. So that's something that they like to ignore.
When?
Is a lot of these black markets. There's a lot of presence in the. What's that?
Kind of like the story we covered where the cops were selling guns to the cartel and people.
No, cops never break the law.
That was happening in my town, by the way.
Since when have cops have been known for abusing their power and using their positions to, exploit the law as opposed to actually enforcing it?
And a lot of them are white. It's crazy.
We're in 2 armoured vehicles.
We're back? Okay, get in.
The police are targets, and we can film them coming under fire. The police reach the intersection. The police are being fired at from multiple positions. Rounds are getting closer to the Sky team.
Well, here's the thing. It's not our problem. All the people who are here on, the parole,
well, unless they're white.
Weird.
Yes, exactly. Trump and everybody on the right all of a sudden cares about this. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was supposedly white farmers being killed in South Africa. Was it? Did you hear
yeah, that was their claim.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to have any real legitimacy behind it, real truth, other than like some anecdotal video or whatever.
So, obviously we're right on the edge of the counter. As you can hear, we probably can't hear them now, but there's been firing from the police.
I worked with the press.
So Samuel says, do you think the police are worse than the cartel? Well, you're saying the police. Are you talking about the police in Haiti or the U.S.? And in the United States, some of them are tied to the cartels. And I mean, just because they might not be as bad as their cartels doesn't change the fact that a lot of cops are corrupt. There's a lot of dirty cops throughout America and a lot of corrupt departments. So, even if it's the lesser of two evils, that doesn't change the fact that it's still evil.
There's live rounds coming at us.
Or it's still
the police, but passing past us.
Also, when did we claim that only white people voted for Trump? You're just pulling things out of your ass at this point.
Yeah, we're talking about white people that voted for Trump that are racist, that have a problem with brown people and have a problem with,
So I like how, are they like autistic? I like how they all come in and it's just, they don't get hyperbole. They don't get when you're like discussing specifics or making generalizations. They seem to interpret language in a very rigid manner. It's almost like, I don't know, there's kind of a sign, or isn't there like a link between having low intelligence and not really getting nuance?
Or understanding humor, too.
Or like averages, percentages. It's like if you talk about a statistic or a percentage, they'll be like, there's this one case that you said it's 60%. Nah, here's something that falls within the 40%. And it's just, do they not know how statistics work? And they don't get words such as, or words and phrases such as, about, around, approximately, similar to, like. They seem to just ignore those words and don't process them.
Well, Samuel Smith said, "You sound crazy, John. It was so easy to vote against your own ideologies." Yeah, that's like 90% of the Trump group. They fucking voted against their own ideologies. Like, most red states are on Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, and guess what they did? Guess what the Trump administration did? They fucking cut those benefits. So, yeah,
Republican politicians don't give two fucks about you.
Oh, so Samuel's like, you clowns are acting like you're so educated, but you lost the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Like, what the fuck are you rambling on about? So, do you understand that there's this constant pendulum swing where it seems to happen every like 48 years, where it goes from one party pretty much controlling the government to the other party. So it's constantly oscillating.
Yeah.
So it's just, do you not get the concept of linear time?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, there happens to be a right-leaning politician in office currently, or at least acting as the president. So your attitude is that, hey, cry about it or whatever, like cope. So what about when Biden or Obama were in office? So based on your logic, if a candidate of the opposing party is currently in power, no one on the right's allowed to talk about it. And if they do talk about it, they're a bunch of like pussies that are just coping. So you don't think you're really fucking retarded when you don't see just how contradicting and self-defeating that logic is?
Well, when Obama had a supermajority, it pissed me off that he didn't codify Roe versus Wade, and I mean, I guess it did piss me off that Joe Biden didn't do the same. But I mean, Obama had a fucking supermajority. There was nothing that dude couldn't have gotten passed, and he like what all did he really do with it? We're in a position now where, you know, anything that we had then we don't have now.
And
but
plus, I don't
you wouldn't know that unless you talk to somebody.
I don't like the Democratic Party or the Republican Party.
Yeah, exactly. None of us do.
And Obama, I've had nothing but negative things to say about them. And the same way I've had nothing but negative things to say about Trump or the Bush administration. So this logic of if you don't support one side, you must automatically be completely for the other side, again, shows that you're not that bright and you think in black and white absolutes. And you don't understand the concept of nuance. And it's also, you're doing the stupid political football like garbage. Like, are you like a 5-year-old? So that's sort of like
they're raging at a YouTube live stream on a Saturday night, you know, fucking typing up a storm in a live chat while their wife is out with their boyfriend. Like they're not happy people. They're not doing anything. Like they're not doing anything good with their free time. Like, I wouldn't expect anything good to come from that.
I don't think if you're watching a stream or engaged in a live chat, I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing. But a lot of them, I like how they'll be like, hey, here are some people on the internet actually hosting a live stream. So they must be losers who have no life that live on the internet. But then that's a good example of how a lot of these people have no critical thinking because they're too dumb to see that they're on the internet. And if they're spending hours of their time watching stuff on the internet, it's just, wouldn't that mean that they must be losers who have no life? And
I didn't really mean that in general. I just meant like raging in a live chat. Like, but by the time you've realized that the live stream makes you mad and you don't like what you're hearing or seeing, I personally just go watch something else if I don't like what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? I don't
and then
stay there and type up a storm.
Somebody said, crybaby liberals. We're doing a podcast that's news and politics related. So again, based on your logic, anyone on the right that discusses politics is just crying. So explain how you're not a moron when you don't see just how inconsistent that logic is. So I guess Ben Shapiro and all the right-wing commentators when Biden was in office, they were just crying the entire time.
Yeah.
They always backtrack. Right-wing, it goes from the media to any like supporters that do right-wing content. There was this one guy that went on a rant like, oh, I could take on fucking anyone, any left libtard, and I could fight him in a fight, and I could take him on. And then
I've known like 8 of those in my personal life, and it's all talk.
Yeah, and this content creator, he got backlash because there was these like big old fucking guys that are like 6'2", 6'4", 320 pounds or whatever. And then this guy came back like, well, no, I was talking about like, we're not going to be in the same class. So I was just trying to be funny. It's like these big guys are just like, no, I could fucking take you on. And this guy's like, no, it was a joke. I don't want.
I remember this video that you're talking about.
And Samuel
I thought I
Smith
hadn't
is
seen
like,
that.
I guess you guys pander to losers. It's like when Biden was in office, we were criticizing
Talk mad
him.
shit about Biden.
Yeah, and we seem to be critical of any politicians in office. So, I mean, your sort of mindset with the winner-loser thing, that's usually how little kids think. Where everything is about winning or losing, and you're just treating politics like it's a game. And you're talking about it like, okay, so the person you voted for won the popular vote. You voted in an election. So you're acting like you won like some Olympic competition. So you don't think that kind of logic of like, yeah, the party I supported, they won, so my team won, you lost, I'm the winner, you're the loser. Do you not think that, you know what, maybe it's people that have lower intelligence that tend to think that way, because it perfectly
it wasn't
mirrors
that
how
long
you'd
ago
expect a
that
child to think.
we covered the 2024 election. Like we weren't exactly empathetic for Kamala Harris when she lost the election, popular vote, and electoral college, and she didn't even face her own constituency afterwards like a fucking adult. She hid like a little bitch. So, and we gave her shit for that night. So, I mean, you can go watch it. You don't have to go that far in the what do you call it? The archive of the VODs, whatever it's called on YouTube.
Yeah, so go ahead and call us liberal. Go ahead and call us fucking anti-Semitic. I mean, we've covered.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure if it didn't benefit them with you know, the right-leaning side of our government being shills for Israel, I'm sure they wouldn't be anti-Semitic because they tend to be bigoted in every other way.
Oh yeah. Don't even get me started on that topic.
Oh damn!
We reverse as the police car loses its tire.
Also, Sam Smith, I have made fun of Biden's dementia for years, and I've been making fun of Biden's cancer for weeks. So that's something that we probably agree on.
When it comes to the science behind like intelligence and certain traits and mindsets that are associated with low intelligence, intelligent people do this thing known as recognizing their own ignorance. Knowledge is a justified true belief. So they don't just make baseless assumptions and act as if their baseless assumptions are true. So you keep trying to criticize Biden as if we support Biden. And you haven't watched any of our previous streams. So like if you were intelligent, you would ask questions. What do you guys think of Biden? But instead, you're just like talking shit about Biden as if somehow like that's like some kind of jab towards us, when a lot of the criticisms you have of Biden, we had as well. So it's like I'm sorry, but you're not really doing a good job proving that you're not a low IQ dumb fuck.
Also, there's been multiple times where Trump has been handed a document, and he's like, "Oh, it's a cool document. Do you want to tell me what it says?" Because he can't fucking read.
If I was a conservative, I would really want a better person to represent the Republican Party. Like if you're a conservative or, you know, any type of Republican leaning person in America, and you tell me I fucking hate Trump, I want him out of the way, I want somebody that represents my values better, I'm not going to think of you as weak because you don't support the current president. Because that kind of rhetoric that goes around, that's literally just R-tard, follow the pack shit.
I'm also going to call out Bill Hicks. Some things bear repeating. And the reason why I tend to cite that, I wouldn't even say it's a quote, it's just a basic dynamic of epistemology, is because, especially in America, most people have piss poor critical thinking. And that's a very, very, very common thing that people do, which is making baseless assumptions and not recognizing their own ignorance. So I love it when people do that, where it's like me recognize pattern, where if you notice some pattern that of speech or some term or phrase that a person uses, then somehow that makes it worth like invalidating.
Right. Also, if you think Trump is doing everything that everyone who voted for him wants him to do, you are either coping harder than you've ever coped in your life, or you're completely retarded, or both. Probably both.
Because there are people that voted. There are brown people that voted for Trump that are U.S. citizens that are getting deported.
Yep.
Its rim,
and I don't want them to get deported, by the way. I want my conservative-leaning Hispanic friends to not get deported based on this bullshit. Like, I've got plenty of right-leaning Hispanic friends, and so
I hope
I'm under no delusion that I can't be directly affected by. Well, I wouldn't say directly affected, but affected in that way where somebody that I care about could get deported because of this.
And I hope these guys are like bots or just sock accounts of somebody else who's already in the chat, because we've already established that we don't identify as liberal and we don't identify as Democrats. And
that's why I said what I said earlier. If you're really like sitting at your computer on a Saturday night raging on a live chat, and typing the same type of shit that's just assumptions, you're not even getting them right. Like you would realize if you paid attention to the show that, there's probably plenty of things that we agree on.
To get away from the fire.
I just wanted to point out that someone's, this is like grade school, like name calling. It's Republic or Democrats. Okay. Well, I can come up with a fucking middle school fucking insult too. It's
just sucks. Do you think, when you think of well-educated adults, you think of somebody who is a doctor, like a professor, an engineer, like a lawyer? Do you think that that's the kind of rhetoric they engage in? So I love how they want to like call people of the other side like stupid or retarded. But then if you ask yourself, does that rhetoric seem to be more akin to what you would expect a 12-year-old to use on Xbox Live or 4chan? Or do you think it would be more akin to people who fall within a more upper middle class, well-educated demographic?
Well, see, it reminds me of that scene from Idiocracy when Justin Long is a doctor and he's like, I hate to be a dick, but like your chart says that you're fucked up, bro.
So Garrett's like, this guy really believes he's smarter than everyone else. No, but I do believe I'm smarter than a lot of the Trump tards in the chat currently.
We're told
it's a very low bar.
It's an ordinary day.
I think anyone with average intelligence is probably smarter than these Trump tards in the chat.
Estimates the gangs control around 90% of Port-au-Prince now. People don't venture into these areas. Cars turn away to avoid snipers inside. The government's forces are trying to find ways to push the gangs back. Police take positions to offer protection. The sound of gunfire here is a constant.
But the big white building you see behind me...
I mean, they keep calling them gangs. At this point, aren't they more of a militia?
Bank. That is the demarcation line of where the gang territory that belongs to the gang leader, known as Barbecue, but his name is Jimmy Tirizier. Now, we've been to his territory in the past to meet him. The point is, it was...
Right, I wanted to learn more about some of these gangs.
What's that?
I'm reading up on the revolutionary forces of the G9 family and allies. That's one of the gangs. That's Barbecue's gang.
Means they pushed all the way up here. His gang, like others, are doing this cross-border protest.
I know. Maybe to stop the flow of firearms into Haiti, Haiti should build a giant wall around its borders.
The G9, along with other affiliated gangs, controls over 80% of the capital, Port-au-Prince. March 2024, the gang was involved in a jailbreak that led to more than 4,700 prisoners escaping. resulting in the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry. So yeah, it sounds like this is like the top one responsible for like most of the destabilization. But there's, obviously there's others.
We should deport them.
The attrition rate in what is a war with the many gangs of Port-au-Prince is high. The security forces need more of everything as they continue the fight. The gang activity means that roughly 10% of Port-au-Prince still free.
Oh, for the love of fuck. MS-13 undocumented illegal criminal gang member Garcia, the new leader of the Democrat Party. No!
Let's move on.
A few districts are left. They're completely surrounded. People are being squeezed into the only spaces that haven't fallen. Hundreds of thousands.
We don't want to spend too much time feeding the trolls in the chat.
Thousands have lost their homes, many finding themselves in heaving makeshift camps. They huddle here for protection, but really, there isn't much on offer. Barbara Gashima gave birth to her daughter Jenna a month ago, here beneath this plastic sheet. Heavily pregnant, she was forced from her home.
Did they just come in and say everyone out of the house?
They pulled guns on us and told us to leave the house.
Now, here's the thing. If it's so bad where they are, why don't they just move?
After that, we ran outside onto the street and took off.
Yeah.
Do you ever think you'll go home?
No.
Some gang
Now, if you think America is fucked up with its history in regards to our involvement in the transatlantic slave trade, look at France and Haiti and how France really fucked up Haiti by they pretty much there was a slave revolt. And then what Haiti did, or what France did, is they held them under a blockade and said that, okay, you have to, we'll grant you your independence, but you have to pay this particular, liberation fee, which was like 300% of their GDP. And that's the big, and that was even supported by the United States up until, the 1920s. So that's one of the big reasons why Haiti is one of the poorest countries on the planet. But people sit there and point to poor countries that are usually their majority demographic is black and be like, yeah, look at how poor their countries are. And it's like, well, one of the big reasons is it's sort of a byproduct of the colonial age.
Leaders claim they're fighting the authorities, not the people. But in reality, it's the people who are suffering, condemned to live like this in squalor.
This is one of the latest camps that's been built. There's over 10,500 people in here. It's a church ground. They've only been here a month. None of them think they'll go home ever. Be kicked out of their houses by the gangs.
This is the government's community.
Oh, Garrett said, tell us again how smart you are. It's been a couple minutes. Did I, at any given moment in time throughout this podcast, or at least this stream, say that I'm smart? I said that you're dumb. That doesn't mean I think that I'm smart.
Communications Ministry. A year ago, we walked in off the street. People were already living here. Now, its forecourt is a camp as well. The government's abandoned this.
Again, talking about how a lot of these Trump-tards, they don't really get just how inconsistent their rhetoric is and their, sort of, ideologies. When they sit there and try to, claim, hey, you're calling us stupid, so that means you think you're smarter. And if you think you're smart, then you're arrogant. But then they'll talk about, and I know that I'm, calling them Trump-tards, but then when they call the other side libtards, and, liberals are so stupid, do you not see how that is pretty dumb when you don't see the irony there, that you're doing the same thing? That
you
you're
said Nazi.
trying to criticize the other person for.
But they're John,
I
they're
think
doing it without facts.
Isn't them being an arrogant piece of shit, but you thinking that they're dumb, you're arrogant.
To save the ground. Whole communities.
You think you're smart.
We need help in this country. We don't got no sheriff. We don't got nobody to help us. Everybody's suffering out here. Right now, you see about this food, you got money to buy food. A lot of people don't have no money out here. A lot of people don't got no money out here to buy no food.
The international community has promised to help Haiti combat the gangs, but it's a slow, difficult process, and promised equipment and funding is in short supply.
Throw him some toilet paper. That's what Trump would do.
Bad crow.
He actually did that. He actually did that. Not bad on me.
Are they crossing the border into the Dominican Republic?
Haiti has reached a pivotal moment. As I have already said, we are approaching a point of no return. Without timely, decisive, and concrete international assistance, the security situation in Haiti may not change.
Now, France keeps encroaching on a lot of affairs in West Africa. So with their neo-colonialism bullshit, France has a decent military. Why doesn't France give military support and try to deal with Sergeant Barbecue? Seems like they kind of owe Haiti after they pretty much fucked the country up royally.
Change.
Haiti is facing its worst crisis in decades, perfect storm of gang violence and political drift. Gangs are growing closer to taking full control of Port-au-Prince, despite efforts by the Haitian government and its international supporters. Let us take a look at how the situation grew so dire. The assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in July 2021 plunged Haiti into a deep crisis, as gangs were fighting each other, vying for territorial control. Since then, over 1 million people have been displaced, and around 15,000 have been killed. In early 2024, the situation took a radical shift.
15,000 people, do you think that's a lot?
It's a few.
Well, it's
not enough for me to give a fuck.
Just back to it from...
It's less than a school shooting.
Great to have you with us. It's an extraordinary report, which we played already. So you can find it online if they haven't watched it yet. I guess the first question I have from this is the extent...
We need like a happy version of the sad horn.
Wasn't it around 5,000 people died during 9/11? So I like with a lot of these, like...
I thought it was like 3,000.
I thought it was close, like it was 4,900 something.
Oh, I thought you said 9,000. Maybe it's more like 4,000.
I said 5,000.
I think the 9/11 was 1194.
No, a total of 2,977 people. So just under 3,000.
Okay, so look at how much of a big deal we made over 9/11, which, yeah, it definitely was like a tragedy. But then when you look at these atrocities, such as, hey, 15,000 people died in like throughout all this gang violence, it seems kind of odd that like they don't really seem to fucking care or take it seriously.
Port-au-Prince is about to fall. Is it inevitable? It's not. I mean, the map we showed made it look like, in terms of territory, it almost already has.
Yeah, about 90%. I mean, there's always discussion about.
Oh, so Garrett said the smart guy doesn't even know how many died in 9/11. I'm sure if we quizzed you on the spot, they would have known.
Yeah, Garrett, that's trivial information. That's why, like, when they do an IQ test, they don't just give you trivia. Like, hey, how many people died in this event? How many, whatever.
Man.
Like, you're an idiot if you don't understand trivial information and how that's like that. If IQ tests work like that, where they just asked you random questions like that to judge your IQ, it would not be accurate at all.
And plus, this is another good example of how they continue to prove their stupidity, where it's like, hey, you didn't know this one thing. Wow, you're stupid. Yeah. And it's just, so do you know every piece of, I guess, important information, every single statistic that there is? So it's just, it shows poor theory of mind. They'll constantly say things where it's like they have no sense of self. They have like the development of a 2-year-old.
90% about is in the hands of the gangs. There's a UN mission there that's run by the Kenyan military, but with other countries involved as well.
Oh, so Garrett's like, you obviously never had an IQ test. Well, you're kind of demonstrating that you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. You just prove your ignorance, because is that what you think an IQ test is? It's just some random trivia test?
And the police, the Haitian police, they're working together, and they are able, and in the last week or so, done quite well at controlling the gangs. But in the previous months, they've done really badly. I'd have said 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was a 70 to 80% chance that Port-au-Prince would entirely fall to the gangs. It's still probably 60, maybe even higher. But the Kenyans are getting more support from the United States, and they believe they can take the fight to the gangs and be more successful in the coming months. We'll just have to wait to see how they do. But it is a really terrible, dire situation right now.
What makes this really fantastic eyewitness journalism, Stuart, is the people that you spoke to. There's a sense that there isn't any optimism for the future.
Speaking of them just like the Dunning-Kruger effect, not being aware of just how fucking dumb they are, it's just you can do a little bit of research. You have access to the internet and look into what exactly is on an IQ test and what they measure. So if you want to try to make the other side look dumb, you can at least fact check before you actually post something. And it's just the fact that you don't even consider doing that. You lack that just basic level of like critical thinking of, hey, I can avoid looking like a retard by actually Googling what's actually on an IQ test to verify whether or not what they're saying is accurate before I post the laugh out loud like you clearly have never had an IQ test. So you don't think the fact that you lack that basic level of like, I guess, forward thinking, strategic thinking shows that you are an absent-minded moron?
Or that woman who gave birth.
Trump has passed a whole bunch of cognitive tests, and one of the tests was TV, woman, man, butterfly, radio, or whatever the fuck. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm so fucking physically fit, you can't even fucking say anything. He's like, I'm the fittest president since whatever the fuck.
I'm the most fit.
Hey, remember that movie Triple X? It was about me.
Demonstrates just how much of a dumb fuck he is, because you're like, oh yeah, like you did before spouting out 5K. Notice that I mentioned, like, I think it was close to 5,000. So
yeah, you were guessing.
I mentioned, yeah, I was guessing, and I was acknowledging that I didn't know 100% on the top of my head. So this is where, again, people like you, just words or phrases such as like, about, approximately, close to, I guess, like, you just don't get relative terms or relative phrasing.
Yeah. What was your sense of talking to them?
I think they got one of them disabilities.
It's like they can't even process
retardation.
basic fucking language or basic fucking English.
As it's contracted, if you like, where the free areas of the city, it's now absolutely full of people. As you saw in the camps, tens and thousands of people are living in really poor conditions. Some of them in government ministries, which the governments have left.
Oh, and they said, that's not what you said. Then what did I say? Because I'm fairly certain that I phrased it in a manner that denoted that I didn't know 100%. So I either said I believe that it's around 5,000, or I think it's around 5,000, where if you had any basic sort of comprehension skills when it comes to language, then you would know that that clearly denotes that I'm guessing.
Interestingly, the government won't even hold their own places and have withdrawn, and the people are now huddling together, hoping that it's safe because they're together. Conditions are bad. Cholera is terrible. Attacks on women, sexual attacks on women is going through the roof because everyone's living together. So it's a very dangerous place for those people who have survived being kicked out of their homes by the gangs and can't go back to the territory that they called home. Now, some people still live in the gang areas, but by definition, you're sort of under the influence of the gangs. For some, it's better than actually being outside. But those who are at least happy to be free are increasingly squashed into these small districts.
I know there's more to come. I don't want to get ahead of the curve, but this first instalment is focusing on the capital. What's it like around the rest of the...
It said... Okay. So it said 90% here is controlled by gangs, and 80% of that is controlled by that barbecue dude's gang, the G9.
Oh, and they said, okay, buddy, you're so smart using the wrong variation of your. So I'm an idiot because I didn't know exactly how many people died in 9/11, but you don't even know like basic grammar. So you don't even know what the right variation of your is. Just Luke, your mommy tells you. And it's just that sort of insult. Yeah, just like your mommy tells you. Do you not think that that's the kind of insult you'd expect from a 12-year-old? So you prove that you're not stupid by engaging in the kind of rhetoric you expect from a child. And it's just, do you not know how to proofread? You only you can't even use proper grammar in just a single sentence. You can't even write out a sentence without
this
making
is kind
of.
Well, this is anecdotal, but I've known a lot of people who thought like this, but a lot of them are just socially retarded, and that's why they go to, they go to YouTube chats and stuff like that to vent, because they're behind their keyboard, they're safe and everything. And yeah, I agree with Bill Hicks. This is a stun lock, and we should probably just start ignoring those kinds of messages.
John, give me $20,000 a year.
Oh my god! They said I'm texting. There's no proofreading a text message.
Wait a minute.
Oh my god! Are you that fucking dumb?
See, all the more reason to just move on.
Yeah, you can't check your own work as you're typing it.
They don't even know what proofreading means. So again, I'm dumb because I didn't know what the number of casualties were during 9/11, but then they don't even know what the term proofreading means.
The next big town outside of Port-au-Prince is full of people that have left the
I guess they think that they need some kind of spell check in order to proofread.
Now, people can't leave the capital.
John, give me $20,000 a year. I will go to these places. I will report, and very accurately. Well, because they don't have alcohol there. I mean, they might, but
what? Crow's drunk.
Control all the areas around.
No, I just wanted
he's
to
drunk
be a
and he's
reporter.
looking for more alcohol.
No, I just want to be a reporter
on
for
the scene.
the PPP.
Yeah, you'll be our on-location reporter. So we'll send him out to Gaza and to the Congo and everything.
Can't drive there, you'll get caught by the gangs.
John, I got malaria. What are you going to do about it?
It's still pretty bad. The whole country is desperately poor. And when the capital city...
You're going to be coming out of pocket for that
goes through the
medication.
city, and the gangs can control everything that comes in and out of the city. Therefore, there's no proper economy anymore. It really is a failed or failing country. And the rest of the international community is sort of watching on and not doing an awful lot to help it. To say the Kenyans are leading the fight, as it were, against the gangs, but their full numbers have never been reached. There's meant to be 2,500 soldiers.
Your assumptions are so brilliant. What assumptions? What it means to proofread something? Do you not know what the term assumption means?
They're not even at 1,000. They aren't getting the weapons, though America said it's going to improve the supply of weapons and money. But they are literally holding on. They're not winning at all.
What update can you give us from Barbecue, this gang leader that you spoke to previously?
Yeah, so Jimmy Chirizia is his name. Barbecue, he's known as. He is the most powerful of the gang leaders. But, I mean, there are lots and lots of gangs in Port-au-Prince alone. He really is trying to now make himself appear more of a political
Now, what do you think it would be like if we send Crow out, go into a bar with Barbecue, sitting down, having a few drinks? Do you think he'd give you an interview?
Yeah, we should send him
definitely.
out there. Let's send him out there.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a barbecue.
Yeah,
government, and him perhaps be in the presidential palace or the prime minister's office himself.
You'll roast some marshmallows, and he's like, yeah, we've already gotten a fire started. Just come out here. It's like, why is there a bunch of limbs and stuff protruding from the bonfire?
But he and the other gangs have now been designated as terrorist groups by the United States. Now, really
no,
because it means
Brian,
if they carry out attacks,
that would be a
force. They don't actually.
Yeah, I would do that. I would go out and just be like all these like military or like political figures, like I'm gonna fucking drink you under the table.
Any other reason they can attack because they're now terrorists. That has definitely had an effect on barbecue and the other gangs because they know they could be hit at any time.
So you mentioned the Kenyan forces there. They're at the behest of the UN.
It's a UN mandate.
And so what is the level of international support? And which countries are stepping up, if at all?
United States pretty much bankrolls it, to be fair.
The UN mission?
The UN mission. Kenya, Canada as well. Kenya is providing the forces, and other Caribbean nations have got some, like Jamaica, for example. The second man in charge of the mission is from Jamaica, for example, and other countries are there. But it's not on the sort of level that it really needs. If you were to take on and beat these gangs, I mean, the membership it runs into thousands and thousands. Wow. They need to. The big thing that Kenyans explain to us is you have to stop the supply of weapons. And those weapons pretty much come from the United States.
Do you think this is a bunch of liberal propaganda that the weapons are coming from the United States?
No, there definitely are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because, yeah, like there's never any crime in the United States that affects other countries. That's never a thing. It's black and white. And it can only be other countries where there's any crime that takes place within their borders that affects nations outside their borders. And when the United States has like 300 million something people in it, well, yeah, we're just not going to have any organized crime within our own country.
And again, this is important when it comes to the terrorist designation because selling guns to criminal gangs is one thing. Sending it to terrorist organizations is a completely different thing. And the United States will take that position on themselves for the suppliers. But if they can stop the weapons coming from the United States, things will get better very, very quickly.
What maybe this is too complicated an answer, but what does the United States and or the international community want to come out of this? Because, I mean...
Now, I know Haiti, it's the island, shares border with the Dominican Republic. I think it's Hispaniola, which is the island it's on. Maybe if we built a wall around Florida, the people smuggling the weapons, they wouldn't be able to get the weapons out of Florida to Haiti, and then we can also build a wall around like the entire island so they can't get in.
It would have to be a seawall.
No, because how they can't get the boats docked at all if it's if there's a wall around the borders. All the coasts.
A government at the moment, is there?
No, there is a transitional government, but it's a bit chaotic. It has a president running, but he's one of 9 presidents, so you'd imagine that doesn't help for good governance. I think the United States, we understand.
I guess we also need I guess make it a dome so they can't smuggle it via air either. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That the United States had meetings.
Yeah, but it's going to be the Iron Dome. Is it going to be the Golden Dome? Oh, wait, no. It should be the Platinum Dome.
It says the wall would collapse from a hurricane. Well, you got to make it from, what is it, the Buckminster
Hurricane Libtard.
Which is like, what is it, carbon-60? It's the strongest, densest, material available. So, yeah, you just got to use, hadron, colliders and everything to... convert lead into Buckminster fluorine and then just build the entire wall out of that.
Well, I know
yeah, and then Trump's like...
the sense from them that America's...
It's not shiny.
Get it done. What do you need? And I think that the Kenyan military have told them exactly what they need. That includes drones, which they're getting, and they've already got some. As I say, more money and more soldiers.
Hopefully Trump knows that iron is stronger than gold.
Costs money. And the United States.
More to come tomorrow as well?
Yeah, we were out with the Kenyans in a night mission into Port-au-Prince, and it's worth looking at because you can see how difficult their job is.
I'm sure it is, Stuart. Thanks so much for coming on to share all of this with us and for the extraordinary reporting. Scan the QR code there.
A night patrol deep into the heart of Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince. In huge American-supplied armoured vehicles, Kenyan police and soldiers work their way through the streets where gangs haven't taken control. The people watch on. But this soon changes. We pass into gang territory. There is little electricity here, and there's a brooding sense of menace. The gangs are here, but hidden away. In this neighborhood, motorcyclists are almost certainly gang spotters.
Okay, that piece of text right there, I'm like, did he rip that from my novel?
The Kenyans ignore them. Use the spotlight.
Don't flatter yourself, Gene.
What?
Now, Gene.
Well, he's using a lot of the positives there. Or absolute phrasing, so that's something I do a lot.
Yeah.
The first reports of gunfire are radioed in. the gun out in our vehicle prepares for the order to fire.
There's been some gunfire working out where it's coming from.
Cheeto dust dome.
The road is closed there, so they definitely are there.
Convoy switches off all its lights, disappearing into the darkness. They're looking for targets. In sporadic bursts, they fire into them.
Round's going down.
It's deafening inside.
I'm sorry. Kind of made me giggle a little bit when he flinched. I probably would be flinching as well.
This is a war with the gangs, and it looks.
And that's how you get rid of the homeless.
People's homes where they fought for. Much of this part of the centre.
So, when do you think the cartels are going to get their own tanks?
They already do.
Like,
they
probably already do.
They're not. Well, I guess maybe they seized it from the government, but maybe they're going to start smuggling tanks from Florida into Haiti.
Of Port-au-Prince is now reduced to a
Exactly, Ahmed. Mexico will pay for the dome.
Behind whitewashed walls is the country's largest hospital. It's dark now, there's no activity. It's long.
I mean, do they have tanks or do they just have like APCs, like SWAT vehicles? I guess those technically
there is
are
a
tanks,
difference.
But yeah.
No, it's the Mexican cartels.
No, I'm talking about in Haiti.
Oh, in Haiti? How are you
Yeah.
gonna fucking send a tank to
Okay, that was a
Haiti?
joke, but I'm saying, do you think they have tanks yet? Because they could have captured them from the military because they've seized control of much of the country.
The patrol makes its way through narrow roadways. Maneuvering in these vehicles is difficult and leaves them vulnerable.
Bro, you need to stop hanging out with the people in the chat. It's like, how are they going to send them across the border from Florida?
The Bimini Road.
Decided by the Kenyans. The night missions here are to keep the gangs out.
Do you know about the Bimini Road, John?
Areas are often divided by a single pathway the Kenyans have opened.
We want to block the routes that guys
What the
use to
fuck,
access where the
John?
public are
How do you
staying.
not
so we
know
block
that?
those areas so that they don't come. During the day,
Yes, I must be
we do
retarded.
very active patrols. Now we go inside where the gangs are. But during the night,
At least he
we put
admits it,
block
guys.
so they don't cross over where the civilians are staying.
See, at least I'm modest.
We passed by a Medecins Sans Frontières
least he's
hospital,
honest
one of two
and
now
modest.
temporarily shut because of the threats on staff. Outside, displaced people live in their cars. They gather here hoping it's safe.
Well, I guess you're saying they don't have tanks. I don't know what the exact, specifications are, or what qualifiers a vehicle needs to meet to be classified as a tank. But I'm wondering, do they have just SWAT or police vehicles, or do they have militarized vehicles? So I guess armored trucks and jeeps with heavy machine guns mounted on them.
They've lost their homes to the gangs.
While the patrols are really important to try to show that the local communities that there is an external presence here to take on the gangs. The key aim in the coming weeks and months, according to senior commanders, is to set up forward operating bases FOBs. That's where the mission forces will stay within the community, and that brings about more trust. That's the plan, at least. But it means that they can hold.
But I guess, Crow definitely should go out here because he'd be able to talk to Sergeant Barbecue, observe his work directly firsthand, and you'd also be able to ride in a tank, or I guess an armored truck, whatever it's called.
Areas. Some of the criticism in the past has been is that
All I want is 20 grand a year.
Haitian police.
Okay, somebody said tanks are too slow, just get armored vehicles. Isn't a tank a vehicle? This is just semantics. What is the actual definition of a tank?
Do a good job to push the gangs out, but then because of the way their mission is set up, they have to withdraw, and the Haitians are left to hold, and sometimes they simply don't do it.
Night after night and day after day, this Kenyan-led mission supports the Haitian police as they try to bring order to the capital. Over the past year, they've had successes, but in truth, the gangs remain in control of swathes of the city.
Okay, definition. A large, respectable or acceptable or storage chamber that's a heavy armored fighting vehicle carrying guns and moving on continuous articulated metal tracks. So I guess the tracks, that's the big component that these vehicles lack.
Stuart Ramsey, Sky News, Port-au-Prince.
Haitian gangs fighting to extend their control over the capital Port-au-Prince. Most of the weapons they're using were brought into the country from the United States. Gang members say these ones were given to them by politicians.
Haiti is on the way to a civil war. There are too many weapons in the country. This situation started with politicians years ago. When there were elections, candidates
Too
came
many
with
weapons in the country, huh?
So people voted for them. Then they leave and the weapons stay with us.
And the weapons continue to flow in, allowing gangs to extend their control across the country.
I would like to be instead of like covering every like CBS or NBC or CNN. Yeah, just throw me out there. I don't give a shit.
Well, we need one of the, you know how they'll have the microphones that will have like the logo, like of whichever corporation.
Yeah, like
it is.
the PPP microphone.
Yeah, I need a PPP microphone.
Caroline Levitt is just like.
I'm Drunken Crow from PPP. I'm here live.
Jesus Christ,
at Haiti.
The UN says it made it easier for them to outgun security forces. The smuggled weapons.
Okay, so Ahmed says they got their full share of Haitian news.
Don't be Haitian.
Our monitor taking to Los Angeles now, where a 4-year-old girl is fighting for her life, and now her family is fighting to stay in this country. That's because her parents just received a deportation order. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Nydia Cavazos. Nydia, thank you for being with us. Can you tell us?
Oh, this isn't even like
her family chose to come here.
New news.
Liz, this is a case.
This is a 4-year-old that got deported, like
This
deported
is from 3 days ago.
Deported.
Yeah, but there was another two-year-old that got deported because her family was from Brazil.
I know there was another story like in Venezuela where the parents were deported, but the child wasn't, and she was the biological child. So that was something where there's this huge outcry, and the president of Venezuela, they came out, and there was this huge like sort of outreach to get the child, like I guess deported back to their parents. But I don't know. Trump's doing a great way, or he's doing a really good job making America look great again on the world stage.
Make white again. If you're a little bit brown, then you're gonna fucking go back to your hometown.
Somebody clip it. Child, Sophia, and Sophia is a name that's being used by the family and her lawyers to protect her identity. Sophia was initially diagnosed with short bowel syndrome, which is a condition that doesn't allow her body to properly absorb nutrients from food like every other child. And so she was hospitalized from the moment that she was born near Cancun, Mexico. Now, while she was hospitalized there for months, she was developing frequent blood infections. She was at the intensive care unit, and her parents weren't necessarily seeing improvement on her condition. And that's why she was then transferred to Mexico City, which is where she was supposed to be having access to better treatments. But Mexico lacked the necessary resources and treatment that Sophia needed, and so that's when her parents decided to request an appointment.
The thing is, anybody who, again, if you support deporting people just because they're illegal, that's one thing. But if you found out, like, hey, they came here, I don't know whether they came here legally or illegally, but if your attitude is, hey, they came here illegally because they wanted to get their child life-saving medical care, and they're currently in the process of getting their child, putting their child through that life-saving treatment. When your attitude is, no, they should still be deported, their fault for coming here illegally, you're just a disgusting human being.
That's also so child-brained that's the reason why I don't really engage with those types of people. Like, it gets to a certain point where it's like, it's not because of your right-wing politics or anything like that, because to blame it on that would be pretty unfair to people who are right-wing but aren't fucking pieces of shit like that.
It's also, they're very anti-abortion. They really seem to care about the well-being of a fetus and the survival of a fetus, but then once the child is born, they don't really seem to give a fuck. If it's a 4-year-old receiving life-saving care, then whatever, let them die.
News under the Biden administration to request an appointment with immigration officials. They showed up at the Tijuana port of entry on July.
What's that, Crow? We can't hear you.
Oh, wrong button. No, it's the Georgia woman that is practically brain dead, is pregnant, And Georgia is like, no, we can't do anything because she's pregnant and also brain
Bro's
dead.
very drunk.
No,
He's a little tipsy.
Wait, do you
she's
guys
brain
not know?
dead, so how can she consent to an abortion?
Well, see, that's the thing. And in Georgia, you can't fucking get rid of your child. But
fucking
yeah,
libtard state. Oh wait.
So to be fair, that is something where I don't know what all the details are. I have heard of this, but it is like, okay, if somebody's in a coma and they're currently pregnant, it's just if they are able to actually give like I guess some kind of viable birth, then what if they came out of the coma and it's like, what, they aborted my kid while I was unable to like say anything about it? So and I don't know what the details are. Is it something like if like the likelihood of her dying is almost guaranteed, or the likelihood of the the offspring isn't viable? So what's the...
No, she is brain dead. Offspring is viable, but it's Georgia where you can't have an abortion or whatever the fuck, and then like she can't consent because she is brain dead. The family can't consent, so it's up to the state, and the state's like, oh well, she's brain dead and also pregnant, so she has to have the kid.
If
It's up
that's
to
the case,
state.
I actually don't really care if she has a kid, like because if she's brain dead, how's it going to affect her? And I mean, is she permanently brain dead, or is she in like a coma?
Yes. No, she's permanently
brain dead. So
she's a
it's
vegetable.
like if they're able to actually deliver the child, then I really don't see why that's an issue. Like this is a scenario where I don't think it's necessarily or it's necessary to perform an abortion.
Well, the family is like, we want
The
her
family
to
wants the abortion.
No, the family wants her to have the kid, but at
So
the
then
same
what's the
time,
issue?
the issue is she's brain dead, so she's gone. She's gone.
Okay, well, it's like
And the family
can adopt the kid, so it's just
Yeah, but it's the mom is gone. I mean, like, would you? Oh my
well,
God.
the kid isn't gone yet, so it's just is the kid?
No, it's not. It's not. But like, would you like?
Well, who exactly is being harmed here? Like, this is a scenario where it's just okay. They can still have the child. So, if the family is okay with it, and this is like, I don't know the woman, but I mean, if I could put my poker, like, I'd put my poker chips on, they'd probably be like, okay, I am fine with the child still being delivered if they're able to do it, because
she's like 4 to 6 months still pregnant, and it's the government saying you can't end her life. She's brain dead. Okay, if she wasn't pregnant and she was still brain dead, would she's a vegetable? Would you be like, yeah, it's probably time to unplug her? But it's fucking Georgia, and she's pregnant.
Well, you said the family, so I do know that if somebody is one of those scenarios where they're likely not to recover, they're pretty much brain dead, depending on the state, it's like the spouse gets to choose, and then after the spouse, it's the parents, and so forth. And It's they have some kind of I guess list of who exactly gets to decide whether or not you pull the plug. But if the family doesn't want to pull the plug until the child is born or delivered, then what's the issue?
Well, that's the thing. They want the family wants her to have the child, but at the same time, the mom or the grandma or whatever is like, my child is brain dead, and we can't even say we're grieving or done grieving.
Okay, so Viper GTS says she can't consent, worst debate attempt ever. It's like, but she's also not able to consent being put through the abortion operation, and she's also not able to consent to whether they pull the plug or not. So this is like an ethical dilemma where it's like, what's right or wrong, and this is a very complicated sort of, I guess it's sort of like a thought experiment here.
Also,
it's for who to make the choice in a situation like this.
The people closer to her are probably more educated on the details of it than anybody else.
Well, yeah, the mom said that, or the mom of whatever the fuck her name is like, we can't even grieve yet because they have put this person into brain dead stasis, and we're just waiting for her to have the kid.
So the parents don't want it?
No, no, it's not the parents, it's the grandparents that are like, yeah, we wanted to have a grandchild, but at the same time, this is a factor where they don't really know. They're
I think
like,
Taylor was right. We need a woman's opinion here, because my thing is,
it's between the parents and the grandparents, and they're more educated on this. This isn't a thing that people from the internet should be fucking like even bother discussing. I'll be right back.
They might actually know what their daughter is more likely to actually support, or what their daughter is more like what choice their daughter is likely to make. So if you ask them, like, okay, you're brain dead, but they're able to keep you alive and in like intensive care for the 6 months needed for you to have your child, or the whichever amount of months needed. So I could see a lot of mothers being like, okay, I'm willing to follow through with that, or I would want that to happen in order for my like baby to like make it like to post conception. So I don't really see what the issue is.
This is a very pointless stun lock in my opinion, and we should probably like
And so to legally enter the country on human.
She actually went into the hospital for a headache, and like 8 hours later, she was in a coma.
I don't. This enough. Next topic.
Saving medical treatment in the US.
It sounds like the treatment that she's getting here, Nydia, is crucial. And the care team is also getting involved. Why are they saying that she needs to stay in this country?
You guys are crazy.
Sophia's doctors are arguing that if
I'm sorry that I understand some stuff.
She could potentially die within days, and that's because Sophia requires a specific feeding system that utilizes equipment that is only available in the US and isn't necessarily available in her home country. And so if she is taken to Mexico, she could potentially lose her life. And so this is why her lawyers are also arguing that this case has every possible merit to qualify for humanitarian parole. But unfortunately, the family is now facing a dire situation in which just last month they were issued a notice from.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, so the people that are supporting the mass deportations that are going on, I understand that with a lot of Republicans, even a lot of Republicans that think that illegal immigration is a serious issue, what percent of them do you think, if you showed them this story, would actually support deporting a child in a situation like this, who's there receiving life-saving care?
Oh, it's going to be none.
And this is a scenario where it's like, even if you're going to argue, well, if they're not deported, they would still like overstay, or I guess they are here illegally if they're not here on a visa. But even if that's the case, it's like, well, they came here illegally. It's like, but still, the child is already in the process of receiving that care. So you don't have enough of a soul to be like, okay, I'm willing to allow this child to stay here for the months that are necessary for them to receive said care.
No, it's going to be none because
they're brown and not white.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's I can't remember who it was, but I dropped my phone.
Crow's drunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but again, that doesn't mean I'm fucking wrong. There was. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I will.
They had to leave.
Well, it's just you're having a difficult time getting the information out.
No.
Or else they would be facing deportation. And as of this month, the parents' work permits have also been terminated. And so the family is facing the situation where they're facing the possibility.
My information is coagulated into my balls. That's why you yeah.
Whoa. Okay, one sec.
What?
Of going back to Mexico, but this would also mean
there we go.
Their child could lose their life. And so let's listen to what the lawyer has to say.
If deported and removed from accessing her specialized medical care, Sophia's doctors have been clear that she will die within days. Deporting this family under these conditions is not only unlawful, it constitutes a moral failure that violates the basic tenets of humanity and decency.
And this falls within the realm of, even if it's illegal, it's just harboring Jewish refugees in World War II. They were technically breaking the law within the state that they were residing in. I mean, Rosa Parks was technically breaking the law by not getting up from the front of the bus. So people who have like no critical thinking, where it's just, well, it's illegal. It's like, okay, well, I guess you'd be one of those people pulling the lever and just following orders in Nazi Germany.
I've known a few people who have made that argument about Rosa Parks, that like she was still technically in the wrong because she broke the law, and if you break the law, then you must be in the wrong every time.
No, she sat the fuck down and it was like, no, I'm not fucking moving. How is that breaking the law? Like,
because it was technically illegal.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking lazy, goddamn fucking whitey.
I'm just lazy.
Okay. Crow's drunk.
According to Sophia's legal team, they've also reached out to the Trump administration.
Yeah, but am I not right?
Humanitarian parole was canceled by mistake, but they have yet to hear back. Liz, back to you.
Heartbreaking situation. In 2023, the little girl you see here, who's being identified as Sophia, came to this country from Mexico with her parents. And the family was granted permission to temporarily stay here for humanitarian reasons.
Do you think she's a gang member?
Looks like one to me if I've ever seen.
They applied for it. And granted.
She voted for Hamas.
Check her for tattoos.
Exactly. And in need of life-saving treatment. Now, all that is in jeopardy.
A critically ill toddler who has been receiving life-saving treatment in LA has been ordered to self-deport by the Trump administration. But her doctors say she could die if that happens. NBC4's Michelle Vise is live at Children's Hospital, Los Angeles. Michelle, tell us what the little girl's family is saying now.
She's got a medical condition called short bowel syndrome, which prevents her from absorbing nutrients in food. They came here with permission in 2023 on humanitarian.
You know what? I think that, like I said, even if they support most of what they're doing with the deportations, anyone that in a case like this is like, I don't care, deport them, they should be deported to like Antarctica.
Oh, so
receive that life-saving medical.
Yeah, fucking travel that fucking.
Well, there's plenty of space in Antarctica, so there you go. They don't like being in a country with all of these like non-white people. Well, they can have their ethno-state and Antarctica, and I think maybe we can get the rest of the world behind it. They can live there.
Well, if you did that, travel that up
and South or Antarctica, it is a pretty white, like sort of territory landmass. I mean, it's their favorite color. So
polar bears.
It's in theme. Yeah, polar bears. So they probably love it there.
But last month, the Trump administration ordered them to self-deport. The mom tells us that.
And you know what? Like, you got all those conspiracy theories. I know a lot of them like to support like the QAnon theories and everything. So what's the conspiracy theory? That there's some underground like Nazi bunker society? So, hey, maybe they can go live with the like Nazi cold and like, what is it? Like refrigerated Hitler.
According to doctors, the little girl could die within days if she is sent back to Mexico.
Last month, the Trump administration revoked permission to stay here and ordered the family to leave immediately. This little 4-year-old girl, Sophia, is not a criminal or a terrorist or Trenda or obviously any threat of any kind. She's not a danger to Americans. But
she's not Trenda or
She's just trying to look cute and shit. She's fucking dangerous.
No, yeah. Look at her hands while she was flipping through the pages. That's Trenda.
He probably has a shank in her pocket or something. Can't trust him.
And Stephen Miller. Gina Amato-Lowe is one of the attorneys representing Sophia. She's also the directing attorney for the Immigrant Rights Project at Public Counsel, and she joins me now. Let me first just ask about the sort of medical status of Sophia in terms of the care that she needs and gets. My understanding from reading.
Oh yeah, they're calling you out, Crow. There aren't any polar bears in Antarctica.
You dumb piece of shit.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Penguins.
Yeah.
Penguins did a lot of butt sex, so I mean.
About her case was that she came very close to death in Mexico. What? A treatable condition in some parts of the world, including the U.S., but they were having a hard time getting the care in Mexico for her. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Sophia was receiving treatment in Mexico prior to coming to the United States. However, she kept getting repeated blood infections and was doing very poorly. So she and her parents came to the U.S. to seek humanitarian parole, and subsequently Sophia has received.
But I know that's the thing. Like, there aren't any polar bears in the South Pole, and there aren't any penguins in the North Pole.
Treatment at a hospital in San Diego,
and
then Children's Hospital.
You know that the people that first documented penguins documented that the penguins did a lot of necrophilia and some gay butt sex. And
okay, moving on.
No. It is accurate. It is accurate.
Okay, whatever. Let's move on.
In this country has been successful.
Yes,
I can't do anything.
But her doctors have said that
whatever.
if her treatment is interrupted, she will die within days. I think it's important to say that Sophia undergoes medical treatment at home 14 hours per day. She is required to basically be hooked up to an IV 14 hours a day and taking nutrients that way. She is also fed through a G-tube 4 times a day, and she visits Children's Hospital every 6 weeks or so. So
how could anybody? Jesus Christ!
Just very intense, specialized.
She voted for Hamas.
Children's Hospital specializes in. This is a world-class facility, but more importantly, the equipment that Sophia relies on to deliver the nutrients to her system is not available outside of the United States, and her doctors have.
Now, what if she came here from, I don't know, like Argentina or Canada? What if they came illegally and it was like a white kid? Do you think they'd still be like, no, I don't care, deport them?
That's still.
Go the other way with it.
Yeah.
Clearly ordered her.
What's the one song? I found a way. I found a way.
Yeah, they'd find a way.
And the other patients that are undergoing this treatment to not leave the country.
Her mother was sort of father dealing with this awful condition and trying.
No, I only have this one.
That the mom applied to the U.S. government through the CBP app, right, to say like there's a category of humanitarian carve-outs. Is that right?
Yeah. So they said they'd have no problem with that, but like deporting them. Yeah, like chances are, You can't prove it 100%. I have a feeling that a lot of them would, like, be like, oh no, they shouldn't be deported or whatever. I have a feeling that if they were white, it's like, oh, they should be allowed to stay here until the operation's complete. They won't acknowledge it, but it's like if you did some kind of, I guess, in some hypothetical, like, alternate reality where just the race was swapped, I have a feeling a large percentage of them would have a different view or a different take.
For folks to come in under these circumstances?
Correct. They presented themselves at the border the lawful way. They requested humanitarian parole for medical purposes, and the government granted them humanitarian parole. This was in July 2023, and they were granted humanitarian parole through the end of July of this year. But the current administration canceled their humanitarian parole without notice and without reason in April of this year.
No, I meant they would be fine with, like, a illegal Canadian. Yeah, I agree.
How was that communicated?
Through email. Through email. The family received a series of emails saying, we have revoked your humanitarian parole and canceled your work permits. You are required to leave the country immediately. And if you don't, we will look for you and we will find you. You might be aware that many people across the United States have received this notice, including an attorney on my team who was born in the United States.
Well, rolling with, they said that she needs treatment from equipment that's only in the United States. So they don't have access to this treatment in the, what did they say, Mexico? So back in Mexico. So it's just, they're pretty much signing her death sentence, sending her back to Mexico.
And so, they've been sending these notices to folks indiscriminately, but this particular notice does mention humanitarian parole. So they were aware that this family was here with humanitarian parole.
I mean, Trump has sent 2-year-olds back.
Okay, so here we go. They were here legally, and now they're going to deport them because he's trying to override or, he's trying to get rid of Biden. The Biden administration, they enacted this parole policy for asylum seekers, mostly from Haiti and Venezuela. And, but hey, Biden's a piece of shit. So everything he did must have been irrational and must have been illogical. So a broken clock is never right, 2 times a day.
Status.
What is the next step for this family?
Well, we are doing our best to try to get the government to reverse this decision and reinstate their humanitarian parole, as well as extend it beyond July. We have been trying to get the attention of the Immigration Service. We are also exploring additional remedies in court.
Well, I'll just say for anyone watching, whatever your views are on immigration, the border, etc., this seems like a pretty easy and straightforward case for Sophia to stay here and keep getting the care she needs.
I have a feeling that every single person that has been nullified as a U.S. citizen is going to come back and be like, yeah, Trump's a fucking dipshit, and vote for me because
yes, that
motto.
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, let's get to the last topic in the title, and then
movie night.
Maybe, but I'll try to do another stream tomorrow, but I'm starting to crash.
Speak. We lost our houses, our children and youth are gone, our children's future is lost.
Some lives ended before they'd even begun. It was a long night for civil defence volunteers in Gaza's north. This was a family home. 3 are dead, many more are missing. If efforts to dig through the rubble in the dark look hopeless, it's because in the end, they were. In Gaza City, Al-Shifa Hospital, the ambulances aren't bringing in patients, they're delivering the dead. Unknown child, the note on this body bag reads. Others, though, can be identified and given an all-too-rushed farewell before they're taken away to be buried. At least 140 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza in the last 24 hours, according to local authorities. The IDF stepped up its strikes, launching Operation Gideon's Chariots, a major new offensive to, quote, achieve the goals in this war, the release of the remaining October 7 hostages and the defeat of Hamas. To Israel, the escalation may mean the endgame. To Gaza, it means more casualties, more horror and loss. To the rest of the world, it's a mark of just how
So here's another scenario. Now, I think Israel should just discontinue what they're doing and pull out. So I don't support what the IDF is doing at all. Countless war crimes. They've definitely killed far more innocent people than Hamas, but it seems like Hamas just doesn't want to cooperate when it comes to this peace deal. Chances are Israel doesn't want to cooperate either, but from what I've seen, they just it seems like in this scenario they definitely don't give a fuck about their own citizens either.
How unsuccessful recent international pressure on resolving this conflict has been.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
The energy of Donald Trump.
Trump really cares about peace. That's why he was saving all of those persecuted white South Africans.
Inauguration promises
It had nothing to do with them just being white.
Seem to have been sapped by reality. He cut a weary figure returning from the White House from his Middle East trip, with investment deals and a renewed bond with Syria under his belt, but no grand bargain in the form of a Gaza breakthrough to boast of. Even the fist bump was at best half-hearted. He barely left the region before Israel announced its new offensive. Then, within hours of the escalation, Hamas and Israel agreed to a fresh round of ceasefire talks in Doha. In Gaza, those talks don't seem particularly loud and nowhere near urgent enough.
Yeah, a fresh round of... Yeah, I'll fucking blow you.
Bro's drunk.
What is he saying?
Oh my god.
I don't even know what's going on.
Get somebody else in here. We need a replacement for Crow. Crow, you're drunk.
We thought that would be a resolution to all of this, but every time now they say there's a surprise, the number of martyrs and wounded rises.
Never.
Bombardments increase.
I'm Mormon.
Farah Salmansi was asleep with her children when her camp outside Al-Aqsa Hospital was hit.
I'm high on
They have no toys to play
caffeine.
with, but that's the least of their worries. Now they have no shelter, no food, and no idea.
And
what to
I
do
have
next.
13 wives.
Well, Ian Lennon
I should have drank some coffee, consumed some caffeine before this.
is a consultant in emergency medicine who's currently volunteering in Gaza.
You're okay. Did he message anybody?
When I spoke to him earlier, I asked what things had been like over the last few days.
He didn't. Hopefully he's all right.
Yeah.
Well, Danny was at a Metallica concert, so I assume that.
Well, Dirt does this a lot where he'll step away and then he's just falls asleep or he
I'm
forgot
gone
that.
now.
Yeah, forgot to disconnect.
Oh, John,
Welcome to the
you
chat.
need to. John, you need to show what I posted in the mod recommended channel.
One sec after we cover this topic.
There's 2 videos that you need to watch.
Oh, that's right. We have one of those. Here, I'll put all this shit that I sent you in there.
Where is it? Oh, I gotta get to bed.
Dean's
I've
a
been
tired
fucking up
boy.
my sleep. Yeah, I've been fucking up my sleep doing these streams.
He's a tired little gay boy.
I need to quit my job and just start streaming.
Yeah.
Well, if John quits his job, then I can't be the correspondent in the Middle East.
You're lying.
Oh, fine. I'll go to the Middle East with a bald head and just.
How did this happen? Don't living in a nightmare, Danley. Well,
Shabisky, don't try to encourage Crow to say something.
But it's funny.
what are people saying? One man was saying, "Help! Help! Help! I'm burning! You there with the microphone? Help me! I'm in the car burning! Help!" Fascinating. Keep us posted.
Which one of us swallows the best?
This
Well,
is great.
obviously, it's Shabisky.
Ryan Lee. I'm going to go lunch. If you're just joining us, nothing matters anymore. We sent Megan Lee Fox to investigate. Megan Lee. You're live, Megan Lee. What? Never mind. We're going to go now to a parentless bird. This bird has no parents that we've seen. Its life is in shambles. When asked, the bird had this to say. Speaking of birds,
Is this like an onion? Is this an onion video?
birds, let's check it out.
just play it.
Our eye in the sky, Timothy Chalamet. Timothy, how's the traffic looking?
There's zero traffic up here, Danley.
That
Timothy
must be nice.
Chalamet, huh?
Dodge Camry up there.
The heavens are empty.
The war in everywhere continues.
The heavens are
John, we go now
empty.
to our war correspondent, Pedro Lee Pascal. Pedro Lee, what can you tell us?
The Applebee's is closed.
Like-
It's not open. You can't get in no matter how hard you scream.
Where are people getting their food from? Seems like they're dealing with a quick life and
I have no
explosion.
Applebee's,
Let's take
but
this
I must
moment to go
scream.
to a commercial break. Are you old?
I'm old and ashamed.
You should be, and for $1,500 a day, you can be the parent to this bird. You'll receive this commemorative Iran-Contra affair tote bag. Call 555-BIRD-DADDY, because birds need $1,500 a day, too.
And we're back with breaking news, a huge discovery just off the Gulf of Water. Let's send it to Dimily Moore. Dimily.
Stanley, you are not going to believe this.
I don't. The cost of life has doubled in the last 7 seconds. To make sense of this, let's bring in our financial advisor, Jaylee Z. Jaylee, what do you tell a single mom of 9?
Ooh, I didn't put this on 1.5 speed.
Bill
They don't take claim.
Israel is in big trouble when Jesus
I
returns.
don't think so. Rolling right into sports, here's Morgan Lee Freeman.
Stanley, I feel I need to take this sports moment to address the truths that people are accusing me of. Think about it. If I did what they say I did, then how come I'm denying it?
I
This is
didn't
a
see
total
that till
witch
just
hunt,
now.
And I am the witch, minding my own business, doing my witch things. And I will no longer hide that part of my life. No, sir.
God, I love sports. Coming up, we recently took a trip to the George Lee Washington Museum of Fun, where we were held at gunpoint for 72 hours.
But we do definitely need to, I don't know, we'll just do like an AI replica of Crow and lie about sending him out there just so people think that we have a representative on the ground.
I think that we need to have an AI version of Crow on the show, but with Crow too, and have Crow find a reason to start arguing with the AI version of Crow and piss it off.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm not drunk. You are drunk.
It's like, no.
We need to have also program the AI Crow to use the horn and troll the real Crow with it.
But what if AI Crow just starts saying racial shit all the time too, just like Crow?
Don't want to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here, I think we
That-
technically covered it, and I got 1,000,001 stories we didn't cover. So,
oh yeah, that I sent you for tomorrow.
Okay,
or like the
yeah,
next,
we'll cover
the next episode probably.
Also,
cover this stuff tomorrow or the day after or whenever I'm up for it again.
Yeah, in the
I have
screenshot
unlimited
that I
free
put
time.
in there.
That's why
yeah,
I'm streaming like pretty much every day during the week. So
No, Gene, you only played the second out of the 2 that I sent you. You need to play. You need to play the.
we'll play it tomorrow.
No, play it today.
No.
It's a minute and like 12 seconds.
I think that's a good send-off video, so we can save it for tomorrow.
Well, I'm not gonna be here tomorrow because there's a good shotgun that. Oh God, no, never mind.
Crow's drunk.
Calm down.
Crow's drunk, and
Chad,
either from that. Okay, go
You have anything you want to say to the chat?
Click the subscribe button if you haven't yet, guys, and hit the like button.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna do a Resident Evil Survivor stream after this.
You're lying. You don't know how to do those.
Well, you know what, Shabisky, you're a slut, but you're my slut. You're my little insane.